my second or third one.
No,
All right, nice. Yeah. What's up, everyone? We're live. I think we got like one person at least. I don't really. Yeah, we got one person at least that was in the chat, I guess.
Yep.
Hard to say. I'm not even really sure how to check how many people are there. But I got a little spiel I was gonna kind of ring off for the video head plan. So it's basically like today we're here with Chrys and Ben to dispel many of BAM's lies that we've heard about them. And unlike BAM, you don't have to worry about their story continuously changing. Funny how that works out being honest. Usually everything tracks. And what I found is like at the base of this entire scandal, it seems that to me, like the leadership of Bricks and Minifigs has never been forthcoming in any regard throughout the whole process, from the initial takeover to denying liability for the consignment. And in my opinion, the most egregious is all of the many contractual obligations in their own franchise agreement, which they've refused to abide by all along the way. So before we get started, I just want to do a quick shout out. If Eamon's out there watching or any of his blood-sucking lawyers, you should be ashamed of yourselves. I have 2 words for all of you, and they are not happy birthday. Now let's get started. All right. Sounds good. So, yeah, obviously, like a lot of people are pissed about what BAM's done to you guys, and myself included, and I think it's disgusting. So, yeah, I'm glad you guys are on, and happy that you guys are taking a stand against them. Because so many people can't even talk about how they've been wronged, right? So,
yeah, that has been one of the big challenges. But I give Chrys a lot of credit for, she has very consistently been saying to me, this isn't our fight. This is about all these other franchisees. And how do we make sure that we, are fighting so that nobody else experiences what we have experienced?
Well, and I don't back down. I don't back down to bullies. I don't back down when I feel like I'm in the right. That's like that. Yep. Ben knows that. I am obstinate. Elizabeth Bennet is one of my favorite literature characters in existence. I'm not a sit down, shut up kind of woman.
No, not a bit.
That's good.
Ben is familiar with that.
That's admirable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Most of the time. 99% of the time. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I think like I saw like one of the original posts you made about that is like, hey, I'm not gonna like let up on something like once I know like there's an injustice, like I'm not just gonna like take it, lying down or whatever. And I think that's what BAM relies on, is their whole legal strategy, in my opinion, seems to be like, hey, well, we're in the wrong, just like Ben was saying in all his videos. But we know that the law system is not the legal system is not accessible to common people. Yeah. And we can pay our way to drag this out, and at the end of the day, we're paying with your money anyway. So what does it matter to us?
And that's their own words. That's their own words. We can afford the fight, and you can't.
Exactly.
Thanks to the generosity in our GoFundMe, we can.
Yeah.
We're getting to the position where we can.
Yeah. We would not have been able to fight this.
No.
The community is, what is making this possible.
Yeah.
And so every single person who has donated to the GoFundMe, this is happening because of you. Like we are finding out what we're going to find out. And some people are going to find out because of the generosity of crowdfunding.
Yeah. Which is, that's an entirely different story, right? How inaccessible not only the criminal justice system is to a vast majority of Americans, and how, systemically unbalanced it is, but now we're finding out, and a lot of people are finding out along with us, how systemically imbalanced the civil justice system is.
Yeah.
It shouldn't take a crowdfunding source to hold a company accountable. It shouldn't take crowdfunding to pay for medical bills. It shouldn't take crowdfunding to pay for housing. Like, it shouldn't take crowdfunding to pay for none of that should be a thing that exists. And that's like, this is shining a spotlight on an entirely separate thing that I think.
Not entirely separate, a larger story.
A larger
this
story.
Is a good example of, yes.
But yeah. So.
For sure.
We can
I think it's
for something while also, feeling like it shouldn't be a thing that exists. Yeah.
And I think that's why the story resonates with so many people, because everyone's had some sort of like corporate runaround or, getting, screwed over in one way or another by like, the system or whatever, whatever it be, someone with money hiding behind a, LLC or whatever, decides they can run over you. And because that's how the system's built apparently. But things like you're taking the step to make change in that. And, that's important. So, but I had a lot of questions. I know there's like a bunch of information out there, like millions of people are spreading, things like not only Eamon, but, everyone's hearing a thing from here and a thing over there. And there's a lot of wires and hairs getting crossed. So I just wanted to have this opportunity to kind of pitch a few of these questions that I've seen that people are like maybe led on or things like that. And give you like a chance to be like, hey, okay, here's the what the truth is and whatnot. So like, I guess just like starting from the beginning to like set the stage. So like, just from the beginning, one of the things I heard from, I think it was the Lego Law Life podcast, is that the sheer like time of like how they mounted this takeover on you is something that I don't think many people are aware of. Like you reached out to them to find out about how like the process would be to wind down into a sale. And I think it was like within less than a week, they have Brandon there. Like your first initial outreach, in less than a week, Brandon's there taking the store from you. And that seemed wild.
We didn't know until later that before we'd ever reached out, they'd already sent Brandon secretly, which they then later admitted to case the joint. So this was not a,
in what, October?
Yeah. So this really
wasn't shop
spurred on by our reaching out and saying, hey, we're interested in a sale. This was part of a plan in advance. Some might say a plot that was already being hatched. And so the one of the striking things is, on the recorded phone call, which Chrys was wise enough to record, Kai admits that. We say, is this because we told you we were interested in moving? And he says, no, we would have done it anyway. Maybe you shouldn't say that out loud. Yeah. Like there are just so many, times where they just were like, we can admit to what we're doing because you can't fight us.
Yeah. Well, and to go your original question, I had a, I think a 8-minute phone conversation with Kai on November 8th saying, hey, this opportunity has come up. We may be moving to Europe. We'd like to schedule a meeting to talk about possibly our options of selling the store, because we're locked into a 5-year franchise agreement. And then it was the meeting the morning of the 14th saying we're going to have somebody come out. He may be interested in purchasing it. And then the evening of the 14th, hand us the keys or we'll call the police. And then here we are.
Yeah. That's insane. So, we were totally unprepared.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's so many things already wrong with that because, like, for instance, like, I know, like, you've spoken about it a couple times here and there in different podcasts, but they give you this termination letter and they say, oh, you have all these unpaid debts. And so what is like the root cause of these unpaid debts as this pretext that they've, concocted to kind of create this scenario?
Like, we've never argued the amounts that we owe. It's right there in our lawsuit. It was the steps that happened, the defaults on corporate side that led to those debts. And so, one of them was our promissory note, our original promissory note for the purchase of the store. We hadn't paid that off.
Like a mortgage on a house. Like we were still making those payments.
And then one of them is the rent issues, which they never transferred. They never assigned the lease over. I wasn't getting all the communication from the landlord. That was a default on their part from the beginning of our franchise agreement. That was their responsibility. And not only by the franchise agreement, but by the lease itself. I had I couldn't do anything with that. And then we go back into the bank account and their mess ups around that, getting the bank account frozen, and then us having to fix that. And then you go into all the other stuff. They're, not paying the taxes for the year that I managed, having me pay the taxes for that year when I was the manager instead of the owner. And then you go into, all the other stuff. But our actual debt, the rent, the royalty payments, and the promissory note, that's never anything that we've argued against. We know those numbers are there. It's the causes behind those numbers. What actions did you do that violated the franchise agreement that led to those things?
And it wasn't until literally today that that Chrys revealed on the Based Brick show that we have Matt on a recording saying, "Oh yeah, that's our fault. That's on his exact words were that's on us."
Yeah,
like they
don't say his exact words because I'm paraphrasing.
I believe, based on my recollection,
I would have to re-listen to it.
That was on us.
Yeah,
and so like they knew that they had created those defaults.
Yeah,
and then waited.
Yeah.
You know, they sit and wait for months, and then go.
Allegedly.
Those defaults we created
allegedly
are the pretext.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
I am alleged.
Allegedly.
Our lawsuit alleges.
Yeah. I know it's like it's crazy that they like, you know, they really just set people up for these types of things. It seems like to me, you know, in my opinion, from what I've heard from everyone and other scenarios too, like the last relic.
Yeah.
And even if
a pattern.
Yeah, and even if like let's say like, which, you know, personally I don't, you know, I think like, you know, what they're saying is completely, you know, they lie all the time, you can tell, but let's say even if they were right, whatever they're saying, what is the correct process for removal or termination of franchisees under law outside of like an emergent circumstance?
Right. So that is very specifically laid out, not only in the franchise agreement, but also Oregon state law, Utah state law, and federal law,
the Federal Trade Commission.
And so that process, and this is one of those things that there's been some misunderstanding, whether intentional or unintentional, around the phrasing of immediate termination. So there's two things in the franchise agreement, two like termination situations. One of them is just termination, and one of them is immediate termination. And so there are people that think that immediate termination means immediate. All that means is they don't have to provide a right to cure. They don't have to provide me a time period to fix the defaults. So in a termination, they would send a letter and they would say, here's your defaults. You have this amount of time to fix those. And then we will retract the termination. In an immediate termination, they can just say, here's your defaults. We don't have to give you a time to fix them.
I mean, they still have to give you time to fix them. They haven't got time till you're out.
Yes.
Right? But they still have to give you time.
But they still have to give you a 30-day notice at minimum.
They can't just say you're out tonight.
There are some state laws between Oregon and Utah and federal. There are some laws that push that at 60 days. But at minimum, 30-day notice. They are legally required to give a 30-day notice, and in their own franchise agreement, they are required to give a notice. Instead, Brandon showed up at the store, demanded my keys, and then Kai McAllister on the phone said, Brandon is taking over. This is no longer your store, 2 hours before they sent me a termination letter. So he was there. Kai was saying, you are terminated. You are done. This is ours. 2 hours before we ever got a termination letter. And that's just like the first step in how they violated everything about how a termination was supposed to take place. That's not even going into the inventory. And that's sure. So that is one kind of misunderstanding that's happening between the notion of termination and immediate termination. And part of that is really just an understanding of, like, when you see the word immediate, like, you presume immediate. But that is just saying your termination starts now. Your time clock to be terminated starts now, instead of your time clock to fix it starts now.
That's our understanding.
Yeah.
I mean, that's every legal interpretation of the law that I've seen thus far.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it makes absolute sense. Like, they have, you know, these laws in place for a reason with the FTC and whatnot. And I just think, you know, Ammon and these guys, they just think the law doesn't apply to them, obviously. And That's kind of the root of the whole issue. It seems like the contract doesn't apply to them. Law doesn't apply to them.
Yeah, I mean, the impression I get is they believe the law serves them.
Yes.
We'll call the police and they'll work for us. What charge can we get this person brought up on because they're inconvenient to us? Yeah. But never, we're subject to the law.
I mean, and that's we go back to talking about the inaccessibility of legal services. We go back to the corruption and the harm caused by large corporations. That's an additional factor of that privilege, whether it's status or wealth privilege. The notion that society is out there to serve you, the police department is out there to serve you, the court system is out there to serve you. That is a completely backwards way of running a society.
As Fan Harlock says in the comments, rules for thee, but not for me. That is how they
operate.
They cannot then say you have violated something, and this is what part of our lawsuit. You can't say you violated this thing, so we're going to come in and seize your store while also not taking accountability for the ways that they violated.
Yeah, no, it's for sure. They don't seem to care anything about their own violations from what I've seen, because they have many, obviously, and then DARVO. They sort of try to concoct violations for other people. It's
DARVO.
Which I had
one of the other things.
I had never heard of DARVO, but so folks who don't know, you might want to explain what DARVO is. But
what is DARVO?
I mean, DARVO is a very specific manipulative tactic that you find around. Generally, you find it within abusive relationships or people that exhibit narcissistic behaviors. Somebody's going to jump in the comments and actually do the acronym for me, but it's deny, avoid.
Oh yeah.
I don't. It's essentially if I say you did this thing and you hurt my feelings, and the response to that is you being hurt is a direct attack on me. Yes, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. So basically, how dare you be upset at me for me hurting your feelings?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I took something from you, and so I will sue you for RICO, and then I will later,
So it's anybody that has experience in abusive relationships, like the DARVO is. Classic. As I started to see comments, as the bots came out of the woodwork on various platforms, when you know it, you will recognize it immediately. And it is, even their PR statements, even those are just deeply, deeply coded in DARVO language.
We have been victimized by this reckless Ben bringing a light to what we have done. Yeah, it's all his fault. Yeah, that kind of thing.
And and Ben even says it in his first video. He was like, "Oh, so I'm the bad guy for pointing out your illegal activity." Right.
Yep,
it's literally that's my biggest pet peeve. I hate when people do something to you and you call them out for it, and then they try to make you look like the bad guy. It's what? You serious? Yeah, makes no sense at all.
The other side of that is the apology. We were talking about this earlier. I hate the non-apology apology. Yeah. I'm sorry.
The unqualified.
I'm sorry this hurt your feelings. Yeah. I'm sorry you were upset by this.
But I
sorry, not sorry, basically.
But I deny all responsibility. It's just, it's an amazing. And I understand for legal reasons why it is very normal to say, but we're not admitting to any criminal wrongdoing or anything. But you can't then try and call it a big win.
Yeah.
You just have to go, if we're going to deny all responsibility, we can't go out there and say we're the good guys because we've done this thing where we are, to protect our own butts. We're going to deny all responsibility. Then that's not going to be the end of the story.
Yeah.
And they so desperately wanted it to end. And then, had to.
I think they misunderstood foundationally what is at the center of the public support around all of this, the public support of myself, of Bryan, of Reckless Ben. I think they have, my opinion, I believe, I think they have a fundamental misunderstanding of why everybody cares. I think they believe that everybody was surrounding Bryan. And I don't think they realized that it expanded out from that. That may have been how it started, but their own actions created ripple effects. And you have to address all of the ripples. And it almost sounds like they thought addressing the first stone would smooth out all the rest of those ripples. I'm kind of proud of myself for coming up with that metaphor on the spot.
Not bad. Yeah, no, I think, you know, and I think you're absolutely right. And what they didn't recognize was people were engaged initially because there was this very clear sympathetic victim. Yeah. And their response was, if we can just make Ben a villain, then we've solved the problem, not realizing we've just created another sympathetic victim and another sympathetic victim. And, you know,
and now if we can
are hearing about more and more. And so,
now if we can say we've settled things with the victim, everybody will go away and everybody will be happy. But then in their town hall, they say, how dare he act like a victim? Like every step of the way, it's a how-to guide of how not to run your PR firm.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, Reckless Ben is still facing, very serious circumstance. Our case is not resolved. So it's not like they have solved anything. They've just brought to light, you know, everybody's just going, okay, what about the other victims in this circumstance? And they have
not just the other victims, but what about your own actions? Because we're not the only victims. Bryan, Reckless Ben, not the only. I mean, you've got Relic, you've got Camby, you've got other. You have your current franchisees. You have so many. But it's also like you have to address your actions step by step by step by step. And this was such a half-hearted, see, we made it better, forgive us now.
Yeah.
That's not really. Yeah.
And like, so like going into like, there's so much I want to say about that. Like I just a little aside, I wonder if Eamon actually like looks himself in the mirror, talks to his family, like, hey, like, you know, I know I really messed up, like, just to be honest, but hopefully we can like get out of this. Like, of course he wants to like get out of it legally, but like, does he actually know that he messed up, or is he just that far gone? Like,
I can only speak to, I'm going to be very, very clear here. I am not claiming that anybody that we are in current litigation with is a narcissist. I'm going to be really clear about that.
Yeah.
Just move the camera. Do you realize that?
No. Why? Stop. I thought you turned that off.
I did. You just turned it back on.
Oh, come.
Yeah. It's a better look for everyone watching.
So I'm not making any claims. I will only say, when you are raised around certain people and around certain behaviors, you recognize patterns, and particularly having ADHD, pattern recognition is one of my, you know, kind of superpowers. But I will speak personally. My mother was incapable of self-reflection and saying, I messed up and how do I fix it, or offering a genuine apology. My mother displayed common narcissistic traits. And that is the only comment I have about that particular question.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I mean, go back to Ben. I kind of like, I thought you turned that off.
I did.
It's
one of the things like, that's really crazy. It's like, you know, I think there's this way that like Bricks and Minifigs Corporate has like basically figured out how to have its cake and eat its too, you know, type of thing. They have their cake and they eat it too. And it's all like, they try to say it's legal. They try to say it's all great and good, but it seems like none of the cake is really theirs. You know, part of the cake is, first, it's your business. That's them having their cake. And the other part, them eating the cake, is going after your personal assets and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at least that's kind of what it seems like, because, you know, you'd assume if someone's taking your store and claiming, because they claim, you know, allegedly.
Oh, you froze up on our end a little bit.
Or did we freeze? I never know.
Yeah, well,
our camera.
Folks in the comments can tell us who froze.
Our you owe them all this money, right? That they would. I think it. I'm not sure what the. It might be my internet, but I asked in the chat if it's smooth. So they said it. The feed is smooth, but the question I was looking to ask you is, it's like, you know, they come in, they take this business. You'd assume someone taking your business because you allegedly owe them a debt. They would calculate the value of the business with potentially, let's say, an inventory. And then they take that value and say, okay, well, this asset that you own, the store, which not only is the inventory, but all the goodwill that you've cultivated, because I understand the reputation of your store wasn't great when you took it over, all the furniture inside, everything else, the customer list, all that. And they'd say, okay, the value of the store, all this combined, including that inventory that we did, minus the debts, here's what we owe you. Instead of saying, okay, well, here's the store, we're going to take that. And now we're still going to go after you for everything you owe us. How does that even make sense? I don't like, they're trying to have their cake and eat it too. They want to basically say the store is worth nothing.
That's exactly what the termination agreement, the franchise agreement call for. That's what Kai McAllister on the phone said was going to happen. And inventory would be taking place, and then they would do the math, and we would be paid out for any amount over that.
And they never reached out again. And, that helped them in the short run because we were literally waiting on it. And so we still, we were going out and getting an attorney because, I'm thinking we're going to stick to the legal route and we're going to do this properly. But, absolutely, we were kind of waiting on that part of the process. So Chrys, the next morning, for example, when she went in, didn't tell her employees this is what's going on because we're still thinking we're playing nice. Yeah. Right. And
letting the system work.
In retrospect, of course, we know they were not operating in good faith at all from the jump, but we didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, they just so that's why I want to ask you, can you tell us about why the inventory list is so critical? Because, it's not just another contractual obligation, but it is the method of getting the correct outcome in a termination, right?
Yeah.
Well, and the franchise agreement says, it's got a description of how we would then dispute that. Yeah. And a third party would have to be brought in. And we've since learned they employed Brandon Best under an LLC as that third party.
That's the claim they have made, that he was their third party.
He was their third party, but he's the buyer.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And so that would never have flown.
Yeah.
But that was their way of going.
Because a third party is exactly that, a legally a neutral source.
Somebody who doesn't have an interest.
And the first inventory would be done by a representative of corporate. And then we would do our own inventory, and then the neutral third party would come in, and hopefully that the hope is within the language, find the middle ground, find whatever either side missed.
And we now have, thanks to the slip of the American Forks Police Department, Josh Johnson on tape saying we were told we could have it for whatever we could get it for.
Yeah.
Well, if you're sending in your third party, but you tell them in advance you could have them for whatever you get it for, how honest an evaluation are they going to give you? Yeah. They're going to lowball it, right?
And to go to your original question, in this case in particular, in these kinds of stores in particular, the inventory is crucial because you can't just look at the volume of something and go, you have 20 of these, here's the value based on averages, because we're talking about collectibles. And so that way of doing it can't be you can't do it that way. You can't say there are 100 sets in here, therefore we're going to say it's worth this much. That's not how it works when one of those sets might be $9.99 and one of those sets might be $49.99 or $599. That's not how that works. And then you add in the additional me telling them not everything in this store belongs to the store. We have a consignment. We have somebody else's property in the store. And that's where, as bad as them not providing that inventory is, they compounded it even more with that right there.
But there were other things on layaway as well. And so they were already converting property that did not belong to them and really did not belong to us anymore. All of the Mansell stuff was the Mansells from the jump, that they owned that the entire time. Yeah. And then the layaway, people had already put things on layaway, and we know they didn't all honor all of those. Yeah. And so they were converting those people's goods as well.
They had paid a portion. They had paid an amount. And if that amount isn't, if you're not either given the product or a refund on that amount, what do we call that? What do you call that? But there's a word for that.
breaking a contract. Yeah, because that's a contract. It's basically they put money down. You have a slip saying, all right, this person is owed that. And just to kind of clarify, I know you've mentioned on a couple of podcasts like how the layaway was managed, but so this is one thing I wanted to ask you, like, where did you specifically keep like all the layaway money and all that stuff?
I mean, the layaway money went through our same point of sale system, and it just got tracked on the receipts. And so those layaway purchases, those people that. So
I mean, like physically in the store, like where did you have it?
Oh, I mean, so we had the receipts in the envelope with the information from the layaway, but those layaway payments, you know, whether they were card or cash payments, they got reconciled into the bank account along with everything else. So if somebody then needed a refund on it, like it would come right back out of wherever we would do any other refund for any purchase.
But I mean, it is worth noting, I think this is what you're getting at. In both cases, they had both the point of sale data and they had those physical receipts in the envelope in the store, which is why we couldn't then say this is how much is owed to these people who are on layaway, because they took the two kind of storehouses of that data digitally and physically away from us. And so we're going to have to get those in discovery, but we have since heard from people that the layaway was not always honored.
Our attorney has those witnesses. But I think very specifically what you're addressing, and then I want to detour to the comment real quick. I tried really hard not to read the comments during this because I get distracted.
You do, I know.
But I think what you were I suspect what you were specifically asking is there was not a separate like bank account for layaway.
No, not that. What I was saying is there was. I know in like one like live stream I saw you said like there were envelopes under the register. And I found it curious that Brandon took all the cameras down that night. Yeah. And I was wondering, like, was there cash in those envelopes that he might have just snagged?
No, those were names and set numbers and receipts. And so on the outside of the envelope, we would track, here's the sets you have on layaway. Here's the running balance of what you've paid. And so those were all under there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I just envisioned Brandon coming across a stack of envelopes and talking in all the cash.
No cash. That was all. In any cash was either taken to the bank or in the safe for the till float.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no. And then all the layaway itself was back in the back storage room or in the safe, depending on the set, with literally a Post-it note on it that said layaway. So we would know not to sell it, not to put it on the shelf. Sorry, I want to take a quick.
No, yeah, for sure. Which question were you looking at?
The Rottweiler's question. I have a feeling that the documentation that BAM wants Bryan to provide them is the original consignment agreement where Chrystal was the consignee instead of their BAM franchise LLC. I can directly answer that because our attorney has that consignment agreement. I have that consignment agreement. BAM could have gotten that at any point. The consignment agreement that BAM in all their press statements, their statements have said this was a personal private, were the rough draft they pulled from the Salem email before Bryan went and made changes to explicitly add the LLC language. So that is not.
But I mean, you can see why they thought they had a gotcha. Like they found an old draft and they went, ha ha ha. Now maybe we can get out of this by saying. They found a rough draft. A rough draft, and the first thing Chrys did when she was, when Bryan proposed that draft was to say, we need to change this. It currently has my name. It shouldn't have my name. It should have the LLC. Yeah. And I bet BAM has since learned. If they haven't, hello, Ammon, you're learning right now. The piece you have is a draft. Yeah. The correct version.
I would also like to point out that goes to a lie of their knowledge of the consignment agreement itself, their knowledge of Bryan, their knowledge of the spreadsheet. All of that was stored in the same place. If they went into the email and they found the email from Bryan, then they also found the email. It strains believability that they would not have also found the email of here's the spreadsheet.
Yeah, here's kind of the pick and choose about the consignment. Pick and choose what suits your taste.
On CopyZilla, we saw on CopyZilla where they behaved as though they'd never seen that spreadsheet before.
Yeah.
So how within their own system did they have both those documents and they saw one as a defense and not the other?
Somebody should track the very first time BAM uses language that says private or personal agreement.
Yeah.
Because it would be interesting to be able to, I'm sure it's something in Discovery we could find out when exactly they accessed that rough draft.
The other thing that Discovery will reveal is that they knew about the consignment long before they came to the store.
Because of the Slack messages. You said there were Slack messages even before the deal was signed, and they already knew about it.
You know, that whole, we had no knowledge of this prohibited consignment agreement. It's just going to fall apart when it's in front of a jury. And that's the point that we keep making is like they can only fight this so long because the truth will out.
Yeah.
And when it's in front of a jury, it's going to look real bad. And I wish they were thinking in that way.
Press releases.
I have a colleague who used to say, whenever you're faced with any kind of decision, you should say to yourself, how will it sound when I tack on Your Honor to the first part of that? And they could have avoided a whole lot of this if they'd thought through, Your Honor, we believe we can take their store in the middle of the night. Like,
well, they never plan on getting to the Your Honor stage. Which I think it's commendable. You guys are, planning to take them to that stage because they seem like, first of all, they just want to draw it out and no one's ever going to get there because they can't afford to get there. And second of all, they probably just want to settle before it gets there, like they did with Bryan. Because for instance, like we all know, like the contract was with the LLC, which, they for a long time they try to say like, oh, they have no liability or whatnot, but clearly if they're taking on a business, they're taking on liability. That's business 101.
And they acknowledge in the termination letter, we are taking the LLC and all assets.
We take our liability too.
And even and on the same note, like when Kai called you that night, he even said if that's a consignment with you personally, you take all that stuff. If it's with the store, leave it at the store. And now they're trying to go out publicly and say, hey, that was with her. So that wasn't with this. So they want to have their cake and eat it too type of thing on this front as well. And it's over and over they try to do this crap.
You can't keep changing. You can't keep changing the story. You can't keep changing.
I mean, you can try, but eventually it's Your Honor.
Yeah.
I mean, if they do want to settle, I mean, that's an interesting thing too, because they have said, oh, you have to go through mediation with us. And then they,
ghosted our lawyer.
Send an email. If they want to meet, the first step would be to actually make that meeting happen. Well, send an email and tell us when to meet and where.
That's an interesting point because I was actually going to ask you about this. So after the takeover, and you tried to do mediation with them, you tried to follow the contract and do mediation. How did they respond to that?
So we found a lawyer in Portland and filed and had our lawyer send a letter in December saying we're exercising our right to this first step, because the first step is like a meeting and then it's mediation and then it's arbitration. So there's steps. And so we had our first lawyer in Portland send a thing saying we are exercising our rights within the franchise agreement and the termination. And then they responded back and essentially said, that's fine. We'll demand a face-to-face meeting in Orem, but we're also going to countersue you for $200,000 if you do that.
Yeah.
And then our lawyer going, this is outside of my realm of experience, and you need to find somebody in Utah.
It wasn't out of her area of expertise. She was just very straightforward with us. She was like, you can't afford me.
Well, that and
she was just very, very, very expensive attorney. And she said, you really need somebody in Utah.
Yeah.
So
since then, we found our attorney in Utah. She reached back out and said, like, we are still pursuing this. You have requested that the meeting be face-to-face. At the time, we were still living in Europe. And so then it was we can do this over Zoom. So we scheduled that. We had one Zoom meeting with our attorney present, myself and Ben, and then on the other side of the camera, Ammon. And there was an agreement from Ammon that he would record the meeting and then provide that video to us. Our lawyer agreed to that. We had that very short meeting in which we kind of laid out, here's our claims. Here is what we are saying. And then shortly after that, we got an email from them saying, well, here's our counterclaims. And it was in essence, it doesn't matter if we were in default. What you did was worse. And also, by the way, you never really owned the store.
It was very strange.
Which was weird.
Yeah, that was very weird.
That was really weird.
Grasping at straws kind of thing on their part. It was very odd.
And then, our attorney spent a couple of weeks going back and forth with their lawyer saying, like, okay, hand over the Zoom recording. We agreed that you would send that to us. And then they kind of avoided that. And we had a couple of weeks of them just avoiding anything, handing over the video, scheduling another meeting, moving another step forward. Absolutely nothing. So then we filed our lawsuit. And then they came back and said, no. Now
we need to follow the agreement. Now we need to do mediation.
Exactly. And then our lawyer saying, here's the times that were available, and here's a list of the mediators we agree upon. And then them coming back and saying that time works for us. This mediator works for us. And then our lawyer saying, okay, so we have a period of 4 possible dates. We agree on this mediator. Let us know what date you agree on. And then they went silent.
Ghosted.
As of the beginning of July?
I mean, quite
not
some time
a single
ago.
word.
And so our attitude is,
well, not only our attitude, our attorney's claims on our, that we are making in our lawsuit is you cannot have mediation.
They don't want a good faith conversation. Yeah.
Right.
You can't have mediation and arbitration be a requirement, but then just say, nah, I'm not going to show up. We're not going to come to the table.
Exactly.
That doesn't work. You can't do that. You can't require something, but also continually deflect and delay it. While going publicly and saying, we want to resolve all of this.
And this is after, they say, if you want mediation up front, we're going to sue you for $200,000 because that's what you owed us based on the termination letter. And we took your store. Yeah. We've already taken your store, and that counts for nothing. The value of the store counts for nothing. We're going to go after you personally to double dip. We're going to double dip. Yeah. It's crazy. So and then they try to say Brandon was the third party doing an inventory. Yeah. But the only thing we've ever seen from Brandon is essentially screenshots of what appear to be a video. A side note on that, it's funny he didn't show the whole video because I guess he went into the back room and it would have showed too many Mansell sets if it was, in my opinion, just saying. But so how long?
Over 200 photos.
No, I know. I've seen all the stuff he provided, but it's just funny. Brandon doesn't show anything from the back room. But he seems to have a video that he's screenshotting. Like if you look into the actual media he presented to CoffeeZilla, it's screenshots of a video. And so where's the original video?
With no metadata.
Yeah. Right. Well, and it's not only that, but we also have now, thanks to the Kaiser Police Department, their released investigation. And that is, again, discoverable. Those in the police department, it says these conversations were recorded. And so our lawyer can go after can request those of conversations with Matt and Kai about the inventory. And we have Matt and Kai in those police reports saying, well, yeah, Brandon did an inventory, but we don't really know, we don't know how he did it. And we don't know where that inventory is.
Yeah. And then they want to take, then they want to take you to court for $200,000.
Yeah.
Right. And you're the CEO of the company telling the police, the person that I hired to do this didn't do the job. And
but also,
that's wild.
I had to do a year-end inventory every year. Corporate requires a top to bottom year-end every minifigure part in your store.
And that comes up at the end of the year. How long does that take you to do, just for people's frame of reference? Weeks. Yeah.
It's and that's the last couple of weeks of December.
And that is with staff.
And so it was not. I don't think it is at all coincidental that Kai in the recorded phone call said, when I said, was this spurred on by our, interest in finding a buyer?
Allegedly.
No, this would have happened. Well, but he says, no, this is not alleged. He says
that is true.
No, this was not about that. This would have happened regardless, probably in the beginning of December.
Yeah. I think he says before the end of the year.
Before you can do an inventory,
Well, and Bryan's consignment collection was set to expire in the end of January. So under both of those circumstances, I mean, I would have reconciled all of Bryan's consignment when I did the store inventory, because anything that was in his consignment would have been specifically separate from the inventory I would have provided for bricks and minifigs because it wasn't an asset of the store.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we're doing
quick
a
shout
profit,
out to Truth Toad. Thank you for that comment. I will be far clearer when I say year-end inventory. That's important that I make that clear. I don't want to be caught in court talking about the year-end inventory. So thank you for that.
Wow.
yeah.
No, it's crazy, like with the inventory stuff, because like you said, it would take weeks to do an inventory. And how soon after they took over the store were they open selling again? Just so people know.
Next day.
Clear.
The
next day.
So it doesn't seem like Brandon would have had time to go through and do it to complete inventory so that they could actually,
he was
equitably
only there
pay
for a
you.
couple hours that night.
Yeah, exactly. No,
and
they've never like given you an inventory whatsoever, like even to this day. And even in Discovery, they probably won't be able to give you one. So maybe they'll send.
One of the things we're very curious to see when we say, okay, when the courts say you must turn over the following, will they be able to?
They're not going to be able to.
Or, depositions with Brandon under oath.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Brando on the stand. People wait to see that.
There are a lot of depositions. Yeah. We've talked about the various depositions we're most looking forward to.
I have a list.
Yeah. So there are people
I have a list.
They're going to have to answer some hard questions.
Nice. Yeah, because even with the last relic, he said like he pressed Josh multiple times, like, "Hey, where's the inventory list?" Yep. And Josh was like, "Well, what would that do for you?" Well, it would fulfill some contractual obligations, Josh. That's what it would do. It would let me know the value of my store to see what I owe you, what you owe me after all these alleged debts. Crazy.
And it's something very, very similar happened with the former owners in Canby. We have that.
Oh yeah.
Those
the plastic pallet. Well, their stuff just disappeared overnight. And that's how does that even the audacity of these people to come in and do that to someone and then say that they're only their main concern is their franchisees, right?
Can we pause for a moment? Can we tell Ben maybe jumped the gun and filmed a little video from your gift.
Oh,
so I didn't show the letter or read the letter because I didn't have a chance to read it, and I don't like to cry on camera.
No worries.
And Frankie was a little upset because they weren't here when we got the package.
I wasn't really upset.
So
Frankie, what up?
This is kind of a perfect time. Hi.
Hello.
So it's right behind you on the table if you want to tell the internet what you got.
Oh my goodness.
And who you got it from.
Should I read the letter?
You can read the letter, but maybe not on camera.
Okay.
I that's up to you. I don't want to take
up
time.
Good. You can.
It was a wonderful and beautifully sweet letter that I very much appreciate.
So for folks who don't know, on a stream on one of our lives, Frankie told the story of losing a rock collection.
No, don't let them off the hook. My own child that I grew in my body tried to yeet me under the bus.
You threw away my pet rocks.
I didn't know they were your pet rocks.
I was trying to protect everyone.
I didn't know they were your.
It was lost.
So and then we gave out our PO box address, and now Frankie is absolutely thrilled at the idea. Whoa. And now I'm getting messages from all over the world saying, I'm sending you a rock from Ireland. I'm sending you a rock from like all these different countries.
Yes, somebody in the chat, write this down. The PO box is 2003, Portland, Oregon,
inundated with rocks.
2003, Portland, Oregon, 97208.
The child that tumbled out of you.
It does. The letter does say. It does say where it says where the rock came from,
because I don't know
and what kind of rock. Other way around.
It is a lava rock. It's made from lava.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when I heard that, I was like, this can't be a rock because it's very lightweight. It's one of those ones that's super.
We were taking bets. I was like, is it because? So we were expecting. We ordered a shirt from We Steal from Old People. And so we knew that was coming. And then Ben got a notification that there was something at the post office, and he was like,
"No, get down,
Havoc."
He
was like, maybe it's the shirt, and then we get there and it was from you. So I was like, I bet you it's a rock.
Yes, thank you, Naburu.
It's from. I'll say it's from nearby Crater Moon. Moon nearby, not from in Crater Moon because that would be illegal. But it's from nearby Crater Moon.
To be honest, where's Crater Moon? I don't know.
I think it's like a national monument in like Yeah, I think it's in like.
Oh,
is it Massachusetts?
No.
What's MA stand for?
Crater Moon National Park is it's in Idaho. National Monument and Preserve. Yeah.
I'm so bad at.
Idaho, but
it's a pretty cool spot.
I'm not revealing addresses.
But yes, this kind of rock is really cool. I was actually really researching it because I used it as a reference in my most recent book because these are incredibly hard. Like they've got a really high iron content, but they've got all these little gas bubbles, so they're super lightweight. They're weird. Yeah, and they're not pumice. It's another name, and I can't remember. So somebody, if you're a rock hound in the comments, can tell me what they're called. It's the other kind of volcanic rock that is filled with little bubbles.
Yeah, obsidian. Oh no, I'm not.
Looks like petrified wood.
It does. It really does almost look like petrified wood.
Cool. The dogs really want it.
They really want attention. They're like, nice. You haven't paid enough attention to me today.
No, this is so cool. Thank you so much.
All good.
That was awesome. So you have officially sent the first rock.
I know. Yes. And when they told me that people were sending rocks, I was not expecting like
cool ones.
People that actually do it, or it is really big. I sent them a picture with my hand for scale.
I know, and I was driving and I just saw the little preview and I was like, "What is that?" No, it's so awesome.
Saw your like sandstone. Was it the sandstone dice that you were showing off last night? I watched that stream like last night. I tuned in. I wasn't there live, but I watched after because I was like, "Oh, I should watch this to see if there's anything I got to bring up tomorrow."
That would be a good
book. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
I liked all your dice collection.
Strong enough to hold the book up.
That's awesome.
Yeah. No, this is so cool.
So yeah, now we're waiting for the influx of rocks in our post office box. Which is awesome. I love.
Yeah.
Frankie's got some fans out there.
No, it is kind of like a brick.
It kind of, yeah.
A really cool brick.
A brick of bubbles.
Yeah. No, thank you so much.
Very cool.
Scoria.
Thank you.
Thank you, Naburu. It's scoria is the kind of rock.
Oh, that was
nice.
So
many big rock words that people are using. I need to be more educated on rocks.
Oh, it's all good. Mad 34 Marine had a tough question. Now that Bryan has settled, which was Ben's initial intent to make him whole? If you, Ben, or both settle, do you feel that Bam wins? The closet doors close. Settlements don't get other franchisees the change needed to prosper.
Oh, this is a really good question. Do you want to take it first, or you want me to take my theory?
I would like to take that.
You go for it, and then I'll share my theory too.
One, I will reiterate: if Bryan is happy with the settlement, I am happy for Bryan.
Yeah, absolutely.
That 100%. I do not feel thrown under the bus. I do not feel betrayed. Any of that kind of rhetoric that came out first. The camera's gonna follow Frankie's butt.
Because you raised your hand. You did it again. You raised your hand.
That's so I talk with I can't help it. I would put that to sleep. There's no ill will whatsoever. No, I can't see myself.
I know. You got to keep talking about
yourself. I don't like that. It keeps turning away from manual. That's weird. Every time I raise my hand, it turns away from like the manual aiming.
Yes.
So I don't. I have no ill will with Bryan. I am happy if he is happy. The same thing for Reckless Ben. If Reckless Ben settles in a manner that he is happy with, I am happy for him.
Yeah.
I am not the kind of person that begrudges somebody else for either their success or their wins or something positive ever. That's not me. It doesn't, neither of those things change our fight. Neither of them change the position that we've taken. That being said, if we settle, I can only speak to myself. I can't even speak for his thoughts. I can speak for my thoughts. You get in a room for a mediation, for settlement conversations. And I've heard, I think it was BBQ Counselor that talked about it and described it. There's been a couple other people that have described like what that process is like.
I'm going to we can't say anything about
I'm going to be very careful. I'm going to be very
Okay,
careful about how I'm phrasing this. You know, you're sitting in separate rooms, and each side wants something from this agreement. And I don't remember who it was, but essentially somebody had said like the best settlement is when neither side is happy.
Bryan said that, but that is the case.
I thought it was one of the law tubers, but I could be wrong.
With. Yeah. If nobody's satisfied, you've kind of found the middle.
Yeah.
Right.
There are things that could then affect current franchisees. Even coming out of settlement talks. And I don't want to get too much into that.
We have to be cautious because you can't go into a mediation having said on video, we are going to do our mediation this way or that way, because then you're not mediating in good faith, right? If we go into a mediation, bam, we will mediate in good faith.
Yeah.
Right?
There are things that there are, anytime you go into any kind of negotiation, you go into it knowing here are the things that I want. And I also know here are the things I am not willing to walk away without getting. And I think it's safe to say that both sides are going to go in with that perspective. And that's kind of all I will say about that. I will say there is enough information that has come out throughout this entire process that the current franchisees have perhaps the framework in place to take to any attorneys that they may have. Because one of the things that BAM is required to do within the franchise agreement, it's an agreement on both sides to protect the brand. You cannot bring harm to the brand as a franchisee. And I suspect there are a lot of current owners that are waiting to see which way the wind blows. And that's, I understand that.
Nope, that's what I was going to say too.
Yeah.
I think that and again, we have to be cautious. We are going to negotiate in good faith. That being said, if certain things were to be adjudicated, if certain things were to be decided in a open trial, it would have ramifications for all the other franchisees.
Yeah.
And so if BAM wants to push it to that point, we have already expressed that we have a concern and an interest in seeing that all the other franchisees do well, because we identify with the franchisees. That's one of the things that was so wild about this early on, was when Ammon was going on all these shows and he was going, we're the victims because this is hurting our franchisees. And I'm sitting there just like screaming at my screen.
I was one of them.
Franchisees is us.
Yeah.
I remember that video you put out saying that we are the franchisees.
And so,
their newest PR thing, their newest PR plan infuriates me.
Yeah.
I will only add to that when this first started and when we first approached the mediation and any kind of settlement, our lawsuit, I think we both approached it from, we would like what we feel we are fairly owed for what you took from us with the store. Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure that Bryan is compensated for what you took from him. That's how it started. That is not where we're at right now. That's where we were at a year and a half ago. Now, on my part, because my name is the one that is being out there on social media and in their press releases and in their Slack channels. I mean, both
yours more than mine, certainly, but they will owe both.
Yes.
Because
that's not where I'm going with. I don't want to minimize your your role in this. I have now shifted my perspective to, this is not about money. This is not about winning $1 million so I can retire and walk away. This is, you have spent a year and a half. You tried to implicate me in criminal behavior with the police and get me arrested. You have accused me of selling and doing heroin. You have lied and manipulated details and misrepresented Yeah, I did that right. Misrepresented.
Nope. Misrepresented.
You're
adding a syllable. You're going even further.
It's the ADHD. It's been a long day. It's my second live today.
Above and beyond.
So it's been
no worries.
Me for a year and a half.
Yeah.
And you're continuing to do it every day that goes on in your social media comments, in your Slack. You are continuing to do it. They have done everything they possibly can to destroy my reputation.
Well, I mean, no, for sure. I remember even
this is accountability, and that accountability covers a lot of stuff. And so I'm not in this fight for a paycheck at the end of the day. That's not where my main focus has shifted to. This is, if you're not going to do the right thing, somebody has to hold you accountable for your actions.
Yeah. I remember you saying even in another podcast, it's like, if someone looks up your name on Google or whatnot, like, what are they going to find? Like, that's something they've done.
Yeah.
And I think you can even see like they've gone out on this big PR escapade with SEO and whatnot, where they've manipulated what comes up in terms of this scenario. Yeah. I'll just add this to the stage so people can see.
About manipulating.
Like, read this part. Like, the fallout of the Lego consignment dispute. They say the fallout. The arrangement later unraveled amid disputes over inventory tracking, sales accounting, and then, as an aside, ownership of the stored items, when it's really no, it arose because you stole the store, and therefore that's the real thing. That the ownership of stored items, you stole the store and you claimed ownership of everything, and you refused to. But then when someone looks up your name online, it's not very clear that BAM actually outright did something super wrong. Yeah. And like, that's you don't even have to allege that. Like, it's a fact. Like, they stole the store.
They're putting it in writing.
It's crazy. Like, and I don't know. I just think it's insane that they try to do this stuff to you. I think like I appreciate what you said, because I think like what CMAD Marine was sort of getting at is like, is there going to be justice for other franchisees? Like, are they finally going to be held accountable? I don't want to like drag you into like saying what you're going to do in mediation, but I think it's pretty clear, like, people need to be held accountable at these stages. And I don't know what BAM thinks they're going to do to continue doing this to people, but I there's a lot that they think they're going to get away with. And time's coming for them to start, doing the right thing or being forced to, pay reparations or whatnot. So it's crazy.
Any current franchisee, I've said it before and I'll say it again. There are multiple ways that you can reach out to me. And they're all welcome. I've had several. They're all welcome to reach out to me. I will help anybody who is worried about the situation they're in right now in any way I can.
And not mention them if that would not be helpful. Like, we're trying to be really sensitive to the people who are saying, please comment on this. Please be helpful in this way. Yes, we will. Yeah. And if somebody says, please keep my name out of it. Yes, we will. Yeah. Like, we are going to try and protect people as best we can. And I've really appreciated that the other, there are a lot of folks who were, I don't want to say use YouTuber as a disparaging term, but we're doing more entertainment. And have now, like, in the course of this story, turned into hard-hitting journalists in the way that they've been really ethical about this. And they're, getting sources. Actually, you were always doing that. But there are other folks where they were just kind of doing like, hey, here's a fun show where we talk. Yeah. And now I'm watching their shows and I'm like, they've turned into journalists. Yeah. Like, they're, finding sources and they're protecting those sources and they're validating and verifying information and then revealing that at appropriate times. And so you can't. So I've got notifications popping up, and anything that is a distraction is even more of a distraction. So, but I've been really impressed with the way people have been telling the story. Yeah, and for sure. I appreciate that, and we're trying to participate in that in a responsible way as well.
And it's interesting. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say it's insane how many people are now, and it's interesting because even in the last couple of days I'm discovering more YouTubers that are covering it, more like smaller channels that are covering it, that I wasn't seeing before. And so that's been really cool to be able to kind of bring some engagement to some of those other ones, and kind of branch out from the main. I think anybody who really closely follows this all kind of follow the same kind of core group of YouTubers that have been covering this. And so it's been really fun to kind of branch out.
Well, it's such a fascinating kind of mix of demographics. You know, you've got your Lego folks.
Yeah.
You've got your Star Wars folks.
Yeah.
And then
all the law tubers.
Yeah, and then the law folks, right?
Yeah, and then now the collectors just in general.
From there, and people who are saying, I cover stories of injustice, you know, and so then you get you and CoffeeZilla and, you know, people who just, you know, cover these clear-cut cases. And so that's been cool to watch that expand. Yeah.
And I did a podcast. I'm going to shout her out again, Steep Talk.
Oh, yeah.
I did a podcast, and she normally covers like cults and MLNs and abusive relationships. And so that was something that was so far out of what I previously talked about.
Right? That's a great one. If folks want to see a great one, she made it into a two-parter. On Steep Talk. Steep as in steeping your tea.
Yeah.
And did a great job. So that's one that's worth checking out. But yeah, I mean, folks, you know, and people have been sometimes hesitant. Like, are we? Is it okay with you that we're jumping in on this? And we're like, please, by all means, tell this story. You know, it's very helpful to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's great. Like, a lot of people like jumping on it and just trying to grow it bigger, because, you know, we just saw like the PR stuff that they put out like on Business Wire and whatnot. It's like complete just trash. Like, they completely just are making up stuff, it appears like to me, you know, because I've been in the weeds trying to figure this out, and they're saying, I'm going to pull this up on Business Wire, because like they're out there saying that they've done, let me just change the page real quick.
When you've got to put the here's how you do it without breaking the law wording in your PR plan, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Like I have to be, Ben, how do you make it stop? How do you make it stop?
That would be a challenge. Let's not worry about it right now.
So here's like the first one they put out the first one they put out here on Business Wire on June 4th. This is before the coffee stuff breaks. They're saying this number that you might have sold 58,000 of the Mansell stuff. I think it said something like 58 was their number. Yeah. Or was it 52? We've uncovered in our internal POS data more than 52,000 and potentially more. They got to throw that in. Potentially more was sold from the collection during her tenure. And then just a month, less than a month later, they're changing the number to 61 apparently. And I know you went over this on EBN, but it's crazy because I wanted to like kind of track this with what actually Coffee did. Because here we have, you know, Coffee did this analysis, the POS, and on the bottom you can see like there was he said there was like a 10,000. So I don't understand where they're trying to say, okay, if Coffee actually looks at the POS and he's saying there's 24,000 sold, and the bottom, you know, he says this thing about there's another 10,000, which I know there's this that's another thing I want to clarify, because I know there was this 3-month gap in the payments. Yeah. Because in terms of like the credit, you know, the gift cards being reconciled with trade-ins. If someone buys from a Mansell thing with a trade-in or a gift card, it takes some time for the money to come in. So it was on a 3-month delay, his payments. He was but from my understanding, he's getting paid every month.
But he's getting paid every month, but for the third month back. Yeah. And part of it, part of it was trade. Somebody came in and said, I want to trade this set for this amount, and I'm going to spend that amount on this set. But I don't actually get that. Like, I don't get that cash until the set that they brought in sells, or like gift cards. And the gift cards is an entirely different. I don't even want to get into that. Yeah. Or you know, card processing payments. Then you have to factor in like the returns and that. So also, we had that 3 month. We had that 3 month grace period.
So the 3 month grace period is part of it. Another thing, I mean, you know, CoffeeZilla was doing an incredible job with what he had. But there's a point at which he said, and I'm not sure if he said this in the video or if it was just in what he said to us, but in his way of kind of describing his data, he went, and some minifigs.
Yeah.
Like, he's just not a Lego guy.
That's another thing I was going to talk about.
Think, minifigs are incredibly valuable.
Yeah, the minifigs sheet. So there's 2 spreadsheets. Well, there's one spreadsheet with 2 different sheets on it.
I do have like all these. I have all these questions I want to get to.
I'm jumping ahead.
No, for sure. Like, but I just want to touch on this point where it's like on the Business Wire articles, they're saying that they looked at the POS and they're saying on their most recent one that came out, they said, "Oh, we looked at the POS and we found 61,000 in sales that were from the Mansells based on the POS." But they say they did this investigation. But meanwhile, it looks like the only guy that actually looked into the POS at that point was CoffeeZilla, because they hadn't even sent you the data. You didn't even get the data until months later. And he said there was only 10,000 out. And then so I wanted to kind of explain to people that it's like they're saying this number 61,000 online on the internet, which seems to be completely baseless because Coffee's looking at the actual data where he said there was 24,000 documented sales. And there was 10,000 that were going to be reconciled because I'm assuming those happened over the past 3 months before you guys had the store taken over. And then they're out there trying to say, Chrystal and Ben, they weren't forthcoming with Bryan. They didn't pay him what he was owed. But he was on a rolling payment schedule, 3 months delayed. Yeah. And this 10,000 unpaid was because of that. He was going to be paid in due time.
Well, it's so wild. If you track their numbers, look at their numbers. Yes, they're all over the place.
I'm gonna interject real quick because this is lawyer stuff. This law
but there's
stuff.
2 numbers that I'll want to talk about. So you go ahead.
We still have not seen been provided any of this from BAM.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I have not been provided any POS information.
Because I think they sent it to Coffee and it was in Coffee's Patreon or something, and people could access it that way, but BAM hasn't sent you anything.
No,
and
nothing.
Then
so I have no way of verifying whether it's authentic, whether it's accurate, and whether it is specifically the inventory buttons that were associated with Bryan's consignment, or if it was all the Star Wars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So before we talk about numbers, I just feel like it's really critical that we preface with that.
And
I don't have any faith in any numbers that BAM provides without the data, the raw data to back that up.
There are 2 numbers that I think are prove that point. That are they said at one point in the story, folks can go back and figure out when, that the amount of value in the store was between $2,000 and $5,000.
Yeah, I have that.
And they said
that point
to the police. Josh Johnson said the store was empty.
Yeah,
empty is a number. It's 0.
Yeah,
it cannot be 0 and 2,000 to 5,000 and
then later on said 34,000.
34,000. Their numbers are all over the place.
Yeah.
It cannot be all of those things.
Yeah.
And there's a very straightforward way to solve that: an inventory.
Yeah.
And so we're just going to say, show us how do you do this calculation by which you come to the conclusion of $2,000 to $5,000? Show us that inventory. And like we said before, I don't think they actually can.
They don't have one.
And I genuinely can't answer any questions. And this is, was in the CoffeeZilla video as well. Some stuff that was edited out, but still I can't answer any questions about what was sold any better because I don't have access to any of that information. That information was removed. One person, one company retained access to that information, and it wasn't me.
But we do know that they made a sworn affidavit. They what's it called when they swear that their lawsuit is correct?
Yeah.
They swore that they later found 20 sets of Bryan's in the store. So if they're swearing they have 20 sets of his amongst all the other inventory, but they're saying at one point there's no inventory, they're liars. Yeah. I will allege that they are not being consistent in what they are telling the public about.
Well, I think at some point they're going to have
because their own what they are saying to the police and what they are swearing to the court don't match.
At some point they're going to have to. At some point they're going to have. I'm trying to find it.
So
there you go.
Nice.
Discord notifications are bugging me. I can't.
Oh yeah.
I got them snoozed. I got them turned off. Sorry, you're going to have to remember to turn them back on at some point. At some point, they're going to have to stand before a judge or a jury and answer which one was a lie. Did you swear an affidavit or did you lie to the police department?
Yeah. And then also, like you mentioned that, like, so I want to kind of draw back to some of these questions, because like there's a lot of damning things I think Brooks and Minifigs don't want you to get through. Right. But
and I get off track.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Because I was going to draw it into the whole thing about Kai McAllister. I know in the recent interview with Total AFall, you were saying you guys are holding on to some bombshell recordings, basically, is the takeaway I got, where it's like, Kai, you got to drop the ball here, but you kind of let it all on the line. And I don't want you to speak about what they are or whatever, but I just want to put it out there that's like, from what you said, these guys seem to be shooting themselves, in the just shoeless Josh Johnson's feet type of thing. And so I think it's going to be exciting to see what else you guys have prepared to show to BAM, because they don't even do their own inventories. How are they going to know what they said at the end of the day?
Right. Well, and they're going to be individually deposed. And so I know in a deposition, you are sitting there with your lawyer, but you're not sitting there with 5 other people saying, please don't say that. Family.
And you are.
And they're watching out for themselves and they're under oath. And so, are they going to have to say some things that implicate one another? Because otherwise they would lie. And so,
or is it going to be a lot of plead the fifth?
Yeah, pleading the fifth in civil deposition.
And one of the things you did say, like you've come out on another podcast saying that, like, Kai McAllister, the night of the takeover, he said like that there was a portion of the call where he acknowledges you've done a great job. So as him being gracious, he's going to let you walk away clean slate. He's just going to steal the store, not pursue you personally for any further damages. Yeah, because the store just has 2,000 to 5,000, of inventory in there. So the store's not worth anything. It doesn't cover any of your debts. And then in our next statement, the store has this much. In the next statement, the store has this much. These guys, they're in for it. Yeah. And just so people watching at home, like, know for the next question coming, like, how much did they say like they owed you in the termination letter? There was a $200K.
So within the termination letter, they said that we owed them, it was like 93,000 in those defaults, those past due payments. And then about an equal amount of that in
penalties. And the way the penalties work is, and this is, I think people should understand this, because this is when they see that number, they're like, wow, you owed all this money. So you sign up.
They didn't clarify the difference in those numbers
when they put that out in the public. So it sounds really like, wow, we owed them $200,000. No, we didn't owe them $200,000. When you have this 5-year-long contract and it is broken for any reason, then they can say, you owe us your royalties going forward.
It's like mark-to-mark accounting type of thing.
Exactly. And so it's a way of saying, like, because we've decided to take your store, suddenly you owe us a whole lot more. And
which is crazy, because then the incentive is, hey, why don't we take more stores? Because now we realize all those gains ahead of time, 3 years ahead of time. We can resell the store, and now we're twice as profitable because we've just realized 3 years, and for the next. So, I mean, it seems like to me.
I'm not saying.
I'm just saying it seems like to me that would be a great business strategy if they wanted to just defraud people.
It would be a question worth asking. Oh wait, our lawyer is asking that question.
That will be
a good question to ask.
Yes.
But so, like, the reason I wanted to bring up that like note about how much they said you owed how much that they said you owed is because I know we touched on this before. After the takeover, before like all the videos went viral and stuff, and you were asking BAM Corporate to go to mediation, you'd previously said that they were telling you, okay, yeah, we can do that, but we're going to sue you for $200,000. So we're going to sue you for the complete damages, even though the agreement that we have together is once we take the store, we'll evaluate the store and then pay you the difference. So how does that make sense, like Ammon and friends? Because it doesn't seem to make sense at all that you want to double dip on the pot. You want to have your cake and eat it too. I don't like that. It just doesn't seem like it's completely off the walls. And then once the viral story breaks, they continue ignoring your request for mediation, and they don't want to get into it. And then finally you file a lawsuit. And now they want to come to the table. And these people are, they're the worst type of people. They drag this two-faced, really. Like Ammon, I don't know. He's got, he's seriously a supervillain at this guy. He got rid of the mustache, I'm pretty sure, because he doesn't want to be seen in court with that thing. I'm pretty sure. Like, so he's trying to
even that. Like, she doesn't like that I make fun of him for that, because it seems to add
a little bit
and personal. But I'm like, it's actually a really good example. I am sure. I am speculating, but I am confident that someone early on went, "Hey, Ammon, you're going to go and do a bunch of shows. You might not want to have that mustache." And he went, no. This is important to me for whatever reason, maybe so I don't get mixed up with my brother. I'm going to, retain this thing. And then finally did shave it off way too late. In the same way, they should have just paid Bryan and us off, and will eventually do so way too late. Like, that's the model. Like, they get around to doing the right thing way too late. Oh my gosh. There's an update.
I lost the bet.
Rose in the chat. Oh, this is consistent.
Rose updates.
Rose, Rose Investment. For folks who don't know, Rose Investigates is one of the people who has been just doing marvelous work, finding stuff, and then pops into the chats and goes, "Hey, the story has changed again every 2 seconds."
I made a comment on the last live that I did today that, like, I make a little internal bet with myself about how long it's going to take into any given live on any creator's channel before Rose pops up with an update. I think they have it in their, like, they have it and they sit and they wait. Like a little mischievous raccoon behind the keyboard, and they wait until the perfect moment.
I think Rose should just start going on to other channels totally unrelated to this and just jumping in there and going, update. And then everybody else who knows will be like, yep, that's Rose. That's what Rose does.
There was a theory that Rose was...
I adore Rose, so they
very, very grateful for all that work.
Yeah.
I did hear a theory that Rose was, there were 3 raccoons in a trench coat were responsible for, like, the band.
I'm currently working on I'm working with Don't F with Justice, and we're working on a possible shirt, like, design collaboration with the 3 raccoons in a trench coat.
Now they need a speech bubble that just says update.
They need to answer my I asked that very question. They haven't responded.
Beat me to it.
So I need some feedback from the internet. What should the 3 raccoons be saying in their speech bubbles?
Update. I like that.
Update would be one of them. I need 2 more. I'm thinking human output machines.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
So BAM basically, they take your store. They don't give you an inventory. They don't value the store at all. You try to go to mediation. They say, okay, well, we're going to sue you for everything that we claim you owe, which is the reason we took your store as payment for what you owe. And now, they're for some reason the valuation of the store has not been given to you, the POS data, all that. They never give anything to you. So I wanted to go into kind of like this sort of segment of like BAM's manipulation in the media, because I think it's important to kind of like kind of smooth that out to let people know, like, hey, here's what's actually happening in the media that BAM's doing. Because it seems like the biggest lie the entire time. They've been repeatedly trying to say, like, they've been trying to make Bryan whole the whole time, right? We've been working with him to resolve the issue the whole time. And obviously anyone that's seen Ben's part 3 video knows. But just a question to you, like, did anyone from BAM, and I know you've answered this before, I've seen the answer, but did anyone from BAM corporate ever reach out to you whatsoever for details about the consignment whatsoever at all with Bryan?
No.
Simple as that.
They were aware before the takeover. Which we'll be able to show. Did they ever reach out to us again? No. That's going to be pretty striking. One of the things that I think is interesting about the way that they've been handling the media is it appears like I think these guys are younger than I am, but they are behaving like such boomers. Like, they're like so fixated on legacy media that they're convinced that anything that happens on YouTube is irrelevant to them. And so that's been so striking. And I will admit, early on, I was like, they put out some press release, and I would be really concerned about if people were, new to this and they were just seeing that, what would they think of us?
Yeah.
It was disparaging.
Exactly.
And it has gone so far beyond their control because they've only been thinking about, well, we went on the local Fox affiliate, and so that's everybody who matters. And I'm like, now you go on the local Fox affiliate, and a lot more people will see the coverage on YouTube of that being picked apart than we're ever seeing it on your local Fox News.
I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for it to show up on
she wants it to be on the Daily Show.
The Daily Show.
Nice.
Or John Oliver. Those are her two big goals. A John Oliver story on it would make her so happy. So John Oliver, if you see this, she's got.
Well, after the comedian Josh Johnson doing his whole,
I figured we got a better chance at Josh Johnson.
I was like, does that give me like 2 degrees of separation from Trevor Noah?
I guess, yeah. That's it's closer.
Yeah.
Nice.
Or SNL or Simpsons or what's the other South Park.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. South Park would be awesome. I
think I would actually I would have an old school
fangirl meltdown.
No, I would have an old school Elizabethan era swoon. I would have a that man has the most attractive hands I've ever seen.
If Eamon ever made it into a South Park episode, I'm sure the retribution would be vindicating. Whatever retribution they put him through, that'd be awesome. So just to clarify, right? Corporate, they have this POS data, right? That they can provide to CoffeeZilla.
Yeah.
But the entire time, nothing seems to have been done on their end to sort of reconcile. Hey, Chrystal and Ben, what's the deal with this Bryan thing? Can we any way we can figure it out in the POS? And they didn't reach out at all.
I think is evidence. I think the fact that they, are going out there and saying we've done this big investigation.
Yeah.
You didn't do step 1 of the investigation. Ask us. And I think it just reveals they were never interested in finding out the truth. They were always only looking to cover their butts, and asking us wouldn't have helped them.
And they could have reached out at any point and said
they have our phone numbers.
I mean, it seems like they were never interested. I don't think they were ever interested to give you any sort of value on the store at all whatsoever as well. Because when Kai's talking to that night on the phone, it's like he's saying they're going to be gracious by letting you walk away.
Yeah.
He's not acknowledging the fact that they have a responsibility to evaluate the store and reconcile the debt and then pay you.
But it's really an offhand, oh, don't worry. And that's because of the previous conversation talking about, I do not feel comfortable leaving here without an inventory. I don't feel comfortable leaving my property without an inventory.
Yeah.
And so that second part of that we have that's out there is really, it's an offhand, oh, don't worry. Oh, don't worry.
But meanwhile, he's saying they're not going to pursue you.
Yeah.
They say they won't pursue you if you walk away, happily, but it's like, hey, but you've already pursued me by taking the store. You've already taken the money. So how are you going to pursue me further?
Well, and it sounds very, it's funny that it ended up with a RICO charge because it sounds very like mob.
I mean, he outright extorted you. He said he was like,
something happened in your store. So if you just walk away with nothing, maybe nothing bad will happen to you.
I mean, it's pretty black and white. Like in my opinion, it sounds like he's literally extorting you. He explicitly threatens you. He calls it a threat.
He even says, I can acknowledge it sounds like a threat because it is.
Because it is.
Now, that doesn't sound like a mob movie because mobsters are not that stupid. They would not admit.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh, like you said, they'd be like, oh, it's a shame if something happened to your store.
That would get written out of the script of the mob movie because they go, no way a mobster is going to just say, yeah, it's a threat. I'm calling it a threat because it's a threat. Are you wearing a wire?
I'm so torn.
Crazy.
I'm so torn in my feelings for Kai because he's like, there's this maternal, oh, you poor precious little baby, you don't know what you're into.
But he chose to be on the dark side. He wanted to act this way.
And then there's we talked at her. And so my brain does this. My brain does this like he's just a child. I can't make fun of him. And I feel a little bad. But then the other side of that is we talked at her.
Yeah, I mean,
like there's such a my brain just want that it's the both ways. I'm like I have the sympathy, like the sympathy comes out first when you're like talking about him. I'm like, be nice. Like it's just like he's just a youngling. Like be nice.
Yeah, he's trying to learn his way, and then he got smited by the world.
And then I'm like, oh wait, no, he might be a youngling, but he's working for the Empire. So never mind. Okay, I have to like. My first instinct is literally like, be nice to Kai. He's just a baby.
He's a grown-ass man.
I know.
Like,
yeah,
that's
he's
the
a
thing.
grown-ass.
Like, I recognize in myself, I did.
And that's something that I have talked to my therapist about.
I did very stupid things in my early 20s because older friends, I was like, oh, they'll think this is cool, right? Yeah. And then you look back and go, that was dumb. Never like this, but I did my own dumb things.
Yeah. What I'll say though is like anyone like Kai in that position has a golden opportunity to come forward at any time and just tell all the dirty details of BAM. So if he wants to be redeemed, like that's still a complete possibility. Just like he said that crap to you, he can come and say something against Eamon if he chose to. That's just out there for anyone in BAM that decides they want to speak the truth and help people that have been wronged. Because I mean, if they've been hanging around BAM long enough, they hear the stories and maybe they go with it. And they're like, oh, that's a shame that happened. I guess that person was selling heroin too. And no, that's not what happened. You got to, read between the lines, BAM corporate, and speak up against your leadership. Jeez.
There's pretty well established case law and precedents in this country that I was just following the rules.
I was just doing what I was told.
Oh yeah.
I was just doing what I was told. It's not a legal defense.
I think,
there are also whistleblower protections.
Yes, but I don't want to speak out of turn, but I can imagine. This is my writer brain. I can imagine looking down the barrel of deposition. Those folks there in BAM headquarters have got to be looking out of the corner of their eyes at one another and saying, who's going to walk into that room and throw me under the bus?
I like to imagine, like particularly the town hall, because there is an aspect of my own character that it's sometimes not the aspect that I'm most proud of, but there is absolutely a petty part of my character.
Really?
Yeah, I know. I appreciate
a little bit.
I appreciate the utter shock and disbelief of that. I do like to imagine like the BAM town hall or the corporate offices where they're all looking at each other and going, which one of you is talking to her?
Yeah.
Because they are.
Oh, it's insane.
I like that.
Because it's like they have this big brother thing out there in BAM. Like, and they know, like, I mean, once you have your own people like turning against you and like, I mean, there's a mutiny aboard the ship and
there's a moment
seems
where
like the captain's going to be thrown overboard soon enough. Like that's sort of what happens.
There is a moment when the Titanic is sinking that it's your last chance to jump off.
Yeah.
And grab a lifeboat. And that's.
I just hope the sharks are circling when Eamon walks the plank,
Yeah. And there's a calculation that they will all make where it will be, I don't want to be first because that's scary. And you don't want to be last because
you don't want to be first, you don't want to be last.
And so when is that tipping point for each different character in this story? I don't know, but I can imagine deposition will be very frightening for them even when they're outside of the room because they're going to be wondering what is that person in the room saying. Not only that, but
I certainly hope those people that are going to be on that deposition list have consulted their own attorneys.
Distinct from BAM's.
Yeah.
Is that person watching out for you in that room?
Yeah.
I have an interview coming up with someone in the BAM ecosystem, or like I'll leave it. I don't want to be too specific, but like I think that hopefully their words will help people to kind of maybe decide their own kind of fate, I guess. And I think like it'll be very telling. So I don't want to. I'll tell you offline who what it'll be about, but I don't want to give BAM any teasers of what it is. But it should be good. So
for me personally, like in this position, and I've talked about this before, it's like the Spider-Man meme with the 3 Spider-Men.
I've seen you say that. It's like, what do you know? I know that this person has not talked to anyone else. Like,
and there's a Friends episode where they're talking about like Monica and Chandler, and they're like, I know that you know, but they don't know that I know that you know, and then you don't know that I know that, and I'm like, that's what it feels like. I don't.
Yeah.
So I'm somebody that talks a lot. I know I keep it really well hidden.
Yeah, nobody would guess that.
Nobody would absolutely ever guess that.
And I think it's important to note,
but I'm
like,
actually like really good at keeping a secret, and there's a lot.
Yeah.
No,
one day, the book.
For sure. Same with me, but I think like it's important to note, like when you said before, it's like a lot of people want to remain anonymous because, like, for example, with you have this promissory note still out there, right? So it's like BAM has this leverage where they can be like, hey, you still owe us money. It's like, no, we don't. Like, you're supposed to give that to us.
Yeah.
But then how many other people do BAM have these bear traps lied out for?
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, if you want to come to if you want to talk, then, you're violating your NDA and we have this promissory note. We're going to ruin your life again. Yep. We're going to do it again to you.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, but, even any current franchise right now, outside of everything else, looking at the penalty, that royalty penalty, any small default that BAM says, we're now terminating your contract, they're looking down the barrel of, whatever your average royalties were going to be for the next span. And I learned the other day that, like, when we signed our franchise agreement, it was for 5 years. I've learned that the ones that are now coming up for renewal, they've changed that 5-year term to a 10-year term.
It's crazy.
Which means if somebody were to break out, they would owe those royalty fees
for 10
years. So they'd be saying, "Oh, you want to leave?" What was $200,000 to us would be $400,000 to them.
Yeah.
So they're really locking those folks in. Now, I think this goes to a point that Jamie Doe 472 just made in the chat, which I think is very valid. It puts, consumers, it puts folks, fans, the comment even before that one about, the people are feeling like they're trapped, where they're saying, I don't want to harm my local bricks and minifigs, but this is not my fault.
Yeah.
And, Jamie Doe, you're absolutely right. This is not your fault. This is of corporate's creation. And so if a local franchise is hurting, and they recognize this too, the franchisees we have spoken with, they're not blaming the people who are boycotting, by and large. They are saying corporate is doing this to us.
Yeah.
And so, the ones who are recognizing what's actually happening.
There are still a few that are there are still a few that are, buying
suffering
into
from Stockholm syndrome.
Yes.
Well, cognitive, I think part of it is cognitive. I've talked about this before, cognitive dissonance and the sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why those two terms exist. That is what it is. I've said my spot on that. Believe what you want about me. Believe this is all my fault and I deserved everything that happened to me and BAM was blameless. That's fine. Live your life. Believe that. But also make a plan for what if you're wrong? What if? Like, just,
I remember you.
Yeah.
You talked about that on AFOL's interview recently. It was like a lot of people maybe want to blame you, but it's like, hey, ask questions about what is BAM doing to help you, But
Tavia had a wonderful comment about how to support or how to
send the gift cards out to be spent at the local, at the corporate stores.
Yeah.
If anyone has corporate.
If you have gift cards, spend them at a corporate location. If you're not close to a corporate location, don't donate them to some sort of organization close to it. Maybe include a little business card or a little map to the corporate location so they know exactly where to go to. Or see if that corporate location sells online. I can't do anything directly right now to help any current franchisees other than share my experiences and other than stay in the legal battle that we are in. That's all I can do right now.
It's the best thing we can do.
I can throw my public support against, for any franchise store that is feeling stuck or feeling like they have further questions. They want to clarify things. they're not all bad businesses. There are good and ethical. There are owners that were like me out there that are like, they are suffering. They are there to serve their community, not to make a buck at the expense of other people.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I can only do at this point the best that I can do with what I have right now.
But Jamie's right. You as a consumer out there, the person who is watching this, should not feel guilty for the damage that is, the harm that is coming to them, because it's not your fault. This is BAM's creation.
That's the thing is
BAM corporates.
Boomers blame millennials for the death of the diamond industry, right? And shopping malls, and there's a historical aspect of all these things that go the way, right? Radio is responsible for the death. Progress goes, right?
Yeah.
People.
Netflix destroyed the video store.
Exactly.
And streaming is going to destroy the DVD.
So that's the thing is one of the greatest forms of protest and power that we have in this country. And it's what we've had from the very founding of this country. It goes back to the core of who we are as a country. And that is the power of protest. There is a reason Boston is famous for a particular incident. Yeah. Protest works and boycotts work. That is one of the biggest tools that we have as consumers in a capitalistic system. And while my heart breaks for every single individual franchisee that is suffering for this, you have avenues that you should be discussing with your attorneys. There is enough information and legal paperwork and documents out there right now that of incidences that have taken place over the span of the last 4 years-ish. You have possible avenues. You just have to be brave enough or willing to take that first step and find an attorney. Or if you can't afford that, approach your state's individual business administration office, because there are state-specific franchising regulators that you can also approach that will then help you answer some of those questions and then find the resources that you do need.
Yeah,
for sure.
In your state.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people hopefully will definitely do that because it seems like the evidence is piling up against Bricks and Minifigs, and they've obviously destroyed their own brand or tarnished it at least, and definitely cause for walking away. But okay, I want to make sure, we talked to these points about BAM is in the media, kind of just sort of trying to manipulate the story. So just to kind of baseline, corporate tried to say that they were unaware of the consignment with Bryan Mansell, right? And that this was an unauthorized agreement. You mentioned in an interview with on Luss and also here as well earlier that behind the scenes, there's even a conversation in Slack that you're trying to get in Discovery now that shows that they were aware of it from even before it was signed.
Yeah.
So that's just
for the record. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So what were some of the other most obvious lies that BAM has put out in the media? I have a list of them, but just curious to know you're on your front. Yeah. What do you think?
You want to go first? One of my favorites was the intimation that Chrys was doing a bad job because they would say she was keeping 3 sets of books. And this is so wild. So the 3 sets of books was Ed Mansell had a literal handwritten list of all of his sets. Chrys decided, I need to convert this into a digital form. And then when she had done so she's created this digital form, says to Bryan, here, I'm making a copy. In Google, you just go, make a copy. Here's where we're at presently. Those are the 3 sets of books. It's the original handwritten, the digital spreadsheet she was keeping, what is really a receipt.
No. I'm going to clarify because it's really important to clarify when something has been misspoken or misrepresented. Yeah, that's. There's some people that don't really know how to do that, but Sorry.
No.
So you're close.
Okay.
So the first one I really dug into was the minifigures. And so I had this handwritten sheet from Bryan's dad of like, this is the figure number, this is the name, this is how much I paid for it. And so I started with these baseball card boxes full of individually bagged figures. And each of those bags had a little tag on it that was like, here's the number, the figure number, here's the name, here's the cost, that lined up with that handwritten inventory. So I went, okay, I'm going to copy down all of Ed's handwritten inventory into a spreadsheet and then go through the box and confirm. And then I got a few into that and I realized a lot of these figures are misidentified. So we'd have like SW0365 and it would actually be like SW0634 or 35A or something. And then I went, oh, this is going to be really time consuming to have to search through my existing spreadsheet, find the correct one, and then make the corrections. So I went, I'm not going to use this one anymore. And then I just started from scratch. And I went through the figures myself, put aside Ed's list, and just set that aside. And I created my own sheet working off the actual stuff that I had, and then making notes like, okay, if the number didn't match or the name didn't match, I had a little column for notes. And I was like, this was identified as this. So that was the second spreadsheet. The third spreadsheet is Bryan going, can you send me a copy of it so I see where we're at right now in our sales? And then me emailing that copy. So you were close. There was just a little difference.
I think that's what I was saying. The handwritten per second version.
Yeah, but the handwritten wasn't actually the handwritten. I was taking the handwritten one and doing a digital sheet.
Yes. Her first draft, second draft, and the receipt.
And then realizing very quickly that was the wrong way to approach it. I had to approach it from the physical.
When they frame that as, oh, she's keeping 3 sets of books, it sounds like she was trying to be deceptive. Like, no, giving a customer a receipt is not creating a separate off-book. You know, that's just a copy to let Ryan Mansell know where things were at.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming they never asked you for an explanation of the 3 sets. Yeah. Because they want to obfuscate and make it look like you've been up to no good. Yeah. You know, you were and I noticed that I noticed there was some press release where they were mentioning this and they were saying like, oh, you kept multiple accounts, and they made it seem like there was like a second register or something, as if everything wasn't going through the same POS. And but obviously the lead stops there because
that was literally they messed up getting our Heartland payment system switched over to new ownership when we bought the store. So I couldn't get Heartland's credit card processor to work for 8 months.
Yeah, that was a long.
And so we had to use a Square reader attached to our POS system to actually run credit cards because we couldn't get the Heartland card processor to work. And that is an exchange of text messages and emails and phone calls with Heartland and corporate going, it's been 6 months. Can we please figure out why this isn't working? And that was literally just, we filled out the paperwork and the paperwork never got submitted. So I did use it was literally a Square reader set next to the POS. And then we would make the sale, charge the card on the Square reader, and then mark the payment method in our point of sale system as Square payments.
So they have to double enter.
Yeah, which sounds like
and it's another example of an accusation against Chrys.
The most malicious and franchisee support.
One more way or lack thereof. Right.
One more way that you
actually caused that. And
you make me use this system. You make me use Heartland, but I can't actually use it because you can't get your stuff together to make it work for me. Yeah.
And then coincidentally, after the takeover, it goes to cash only, right? I heard you mention the store went cash only. Maybe Heartland was having issues, or maybe they just didn't want to track anything anymore. They wanted all Mansell sets to be under the table, tax free.
You know how much of
I can only say as a
you guys can't say it.
Themed sketch to me.
Do you know how much of a burden you're putting on your customer base to go to cash only?
Yeah. Well, they can put an ATM in there with a $20 fee. That'd be team aiming, right? It was the BAM school of
coming out of COVID. They did studies on how few people now hold use cash.
Yeah,
and outside of any other reason why they might have, I'm not going to speculate as to why a business might go cash only. That is for attorneys and depositions and discovery.
But just the question, they did go cash only though, right?
Yeah. Well, and that shows up in Reckless Ben's video. We didn't even have to make that claim. That's in Reckless Ben's video. You can see the sign on the door. Okay. But you're putting a tremendous burden on your customer base. You're losing business because a customer is walking in without cash going, I know I'm going to buy this. And then going, well, I guess I'm going to Walmart.
Yeah.
It's a terrible way to run a business. Yeah. Outside of anything else, it is a fundamentally terrible way to run a business, particularly a business where what you're selling is such a wide range. No, it's absurd.
Yeah. And like on top of the like the other lies they've kind of spread, they for a while they were trying to say you abandoned the store, right? You abandoned the store
multiple times. Yeah.
But that was right after Kai was telling how great of a job you did, so he's going to gracefully let you walk away from being double dipped on,
Yeah. And Kai even mentions in that recording, you reached out to us about selling the store. But it's also interesting that you can track when they make these statements versus when other information is released.
Yeah.
And their statements shift along with information being released. So now it's,
I mean, it looks like they're because speaking of tracking those statements, like I wanted to get into the yellow stickers a bit because, for instance, like we got Josh, he likes saying that, maybe these stickers never existed. Let's say Josh likes to think this happened. This never happened. So signs of a cover up. I don't know. It's like, what do you have to say about this? Any statements Josh or Brandon might try to make claiming employees never knew about the consignment or there were never any yellow stickers? Is that pretty much just blatant lies at that point?
Yes, and the blatant lies are so many levels of lies that
I'm gonna step in because we don't want to say anything that is incorrect.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just going to say, but if one of them were to have testified to the police that the store was empty, then everything else that comes out later contradicts the statement.
Sense.
Because
how could there be any yellow stickers?
There were sets, but the sets didn't have yellow stickers. You said there were no sets. You said the store was empty.
So I will clarify. I don't fully remember. The employees that were there when we took on the consignment were employees that were no longer there when corporate took the store. So those are different employees. I can't actually, and this was why I was going to step in.
Yeah.
I don't actually remember if I told the two employees that were there that it was an actual consignment. I don't know if I used that word. So when they, in those police statements, say they didn't know about a consignment, it's entirely possible I did not use that word with them.
Those two employees.
Yeah. I know they were trained in how to identify and how to protect and store and enter them into the point of sale, but it's entirely possible. And I genuinely don't remember. I may not, because it was months after that these new employees were hired. After the consignment had happened, they knew Bryan was coming in. They knew he had to be paid money. I don't think I actually would have used the word consignment. And part of the reason for that is the fact that we were doing a consignment wasn't something we wanted to be made widely publicly available.
Right. But I mean, I think it's laudable that you are protecting your employees.
No, I'm not protecting anybody. If I'm going to make a statement,
right.
Yeah, I want it to be as accurate as possible to the best of my knowledge.
Absolutely. What I'm saying is, we all know that Brandon Best knew.
Yes.
We literally
it seems like Brandon Best definitely
knew.
That's why but in your question, you specifically addressed the employees' statements. I'm not going to call those statements inaccurate.
I'm talking about Brandon Best and Josh Johnson's statements to the police.
I know,
they
but
said
I was
there
saying,
was nothing.
He asked me a question.
Well, I think in terms of the consignment, I think it was more in the police report mentions that there's a mention of the employees were aware of the yellow stickers. So maybe not the consignment, the word consignment, but the employees were certainly aware of the yellow stickers.
Clarify that,
for sure.
Very specific thing.
No,
because again, I don't want to give an inaccurate statement or a misrepresentation.
No,
from my part.
I agree, and I think that's laudable. But
there are things as a business owner or as a manager There's certain information you don't pass on to employees because it's not a detail that they need to know.
Especially when corporate
here's how we are identifying it. Here's how we are tracking it and entering it into the computer system. Just clarifying that part. The fact that Josh, sure. I don't know how much Josh knew, so I can't say whether he was lying or not. Because I never. Well, I mean,
it seems like they're either grossly negligent or,
I can say how much Brandon knew.
Right.
But I can't say anything about Josh because I don't know what he knew and I don't know what remained there when Josh showed up.
But if Josh or Brandon were to say, let's say either of them said, hey, the employees never knew anything about yellow stickers. There were never any yellow stickers here. That's a blatant lie.
Right.
Oh yeah. You can see the yellow stickers.
Yeah, you can see them in the CoffeeZilla video.
Brandon.
Yeah, they were never here. Yes.
His voice in the background.
And one of them talked about being told to remove them.
Yeah.
In a police document.
That's true. One of them in a police document.
This is going to totally bite, BAM, is had this not blown up in the way that it has, nobody would have had the interest and therefore the kind of wherewithal to bring together all this information.
Yeah.
But because people have, brought so much, because people like you have brought so much attention to this, then people are kind of doing that research and doing the cross-referencing and going, wait a second. And that's what got the Freedom of Information Act request that then got the police report. So that it's been wonderful to put together this body of evidence that just shows it's lie after lie after
lie after lie.
When you shine a spotlight on one bad act, other stuff.
See the footsteps, everything.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes that spotlight spreads out.
Yeah.
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 And also another witness, right? You mentioned Bryan Mansell had a buddy go into the store shortly after Takeover, and he bought a set with a yellow sticker on it. So stuff it, Josh. That's
Yeah. Oh yeah. There was an Instagram reel posted that tagged the store within that first month or so. That went in and did a quick a pan.
I saw you mention that as well.
And I can look at it and go, I recognize that one. I recognize that one. I recognize that one.
Oh yeah, dang.
If you're gonna do things that might perhaps not be
legal
or ethical,
yeah.
I think the part that I judge the most is the most embarrassing thing. I think if I were a victim of a crime, if I were murdered by a serial killer, right? The most embarrassing part of that would be if it was an inept or stupid serial killer. Give me Ted Bundy or nobody. Yeah. That's the part that I would come back and haunt you. That's the really embarrassing part, right? We were there's the David Tennant show where he plays a vicar and he accidentally kidnaps his son's math tutor. And then, hijinks ensue and he ends up holding her hostage in the basement.
It's not all comedy. It's pretty grim.
And then his wife discovers it and helps him cover it up. And this will tell you some insight into our relationship. I turned to Ben and I was like, if I found out you were hiding somebody in our basement, I would turn you in, not because you had done it, but because you were so stupid about it.
Yeah. Thanks. Well, but I mean, we
don't have a basement.
we should acknowledge
for legal purposes.
But we should acknowledge, and I have thought, felt guilty about this a lot. Who are the victims of these idiots? We are. Who got duped by these morons?
I know. It's
I am aware of that.
That way?
Yeah, sorry.
Well, it's not it's not really your fault. You're thinking you're dealing with upstanding Mormons and good people in the community. Nothing against Mormons. I'm sure there's great Mormons tons of them out there, but bad apple spoils the punch.
I was like, the Mormons I have known, honest.
Somebody was like, it's a Wile E. Coyote, honest. And I'm like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I mean, I have,
really?
I have had.
I remember. I remember you said that.
Heard about these guys. I was like, these guys are going to be trustworthy. And
I remember when you first said that in one of the videos. You're like, I mean, you'd think that they would be. I hope the franchisees joining now know that they're not. Thanks. So
Yeah.
So we cleared that up. Like any statements made by Josh and Brandon that yellow stickers never existed, blatant lies. What about if how about they took you gave up all the social media accounts, right? As per like the termination. So if they try to say like they didn't have access to these accounts or anything like that, it's more kind of lies on their end.
So
or just blatant.
There was a spreadsheet on the Google Drive. It was a document that was created before I came on as manager. And it was a document that I continued using through management to ownership on the Google Drive that corporate maintained ownership control over. That was titled like account information. And it was all the usernames and logins and like password information for everything. Toy House, Big Kid Bricks, all of our vendors, our electric, our gas company, our water company, our safe, our security cameras, literally everything. Literally all the passwords, including Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, all of them. So not only that, but in violation of the franchise agreement, corporate was supposed to hand over control of all the social media accounts to me when I purchased it and did not. So they maintain ownership control and created their own separate Facebook and Instagram account. But the one that the one that I ran and my face is all over is still up there online getting, death threats and assault threats and all of that. And
we can't do anything about that. They own it.
Because they're mistaking me for Amanda.
Dang. Yeah. I often wondered, like, if Amanda was deposed, like, she would probably have a lot of great information. And she has no reason to even stand by these people. They've ruined her life, not as much as yours. Obviously, they haven't come after financially, but, I mean, she's out there in the internet being trampled over. And that's, why maybe people are just being loyal to BAM because they're scared. Maybe she's been threatened with an NDA. I know Tavia said when she exited, they said, hey, you have an NDA, just so you know.
An NDA doesn't necessarily protect you from.
You can speak about your personal experience. Yeah. If you're under NDA, like, you can't reveal business secrets, right? That's what the NDA would be for.
My understanding is the way the NDA would work in court, and an attorney can correct me if I'm wrong about this, is you would say if you are testifying and you're called and you're subpoenaed, you can't say I can't show up because I have an NDA. You have to show up. And then you're sitting there and you say, I can't answer that question because I'm under an NDA. And the judge says, close the courtroom, continue to talk, because the NDA does not prevent you from testifying. It just prevents that from being public. So if any of these, if BAM thinks, we've got a whole bunch of these folks that we victimized who are locked down by NDAs, that's not going to keep them from talking to the judge and the jury. That's just might keep them from talking to, reporters. So, again, our kind of, I don't want to say hope. Like, it'd be wonderful if BAM were to,
have their day of reckoning,
the light, and realize, hey, we need to make things right. But we're willing to keep going to a jury because that's when this will all come to light, or at least be adjudicated.
Yeah. And I'm sure if it does get to that point, there's going to be tons of people, that are willing to come and testify. Because if you look at the FDDs, like for everyone out there, like there's basically 3 types of exiting the system. I mean, in the earlier versions, there's like more, there's like another one as well, but it's transferred to new owner, ceased operations in the earlier versions, and then termination, and then mutual termination. Yeah. So Kai on the phone, he was saying he wanted to do mutual termination with you. So if people roll over and they say, okay, we'll take the gracious exit, take our store, don't come after us personally, that's mutual in their eyes, and then what you did, you said, no, we're going to fight this. That's we're then terminating you. It's it's forced termination or whatnot. And now we're going to come after you personally, which potentially has happened to other people in the past where they've lost not only their store, but then the debt of this that they got into, which had their store taken from them. Apparently that wasn't covered by the store. So now we're going to come after you personally, ruin your life, take your house, take your car, take everything from you. And just speculating, this could have happened to people. But so basically if this gets to court, those people will probably love to come down and give Ammon his day of reckoning.
I imagine there's
Yeah, I mean, and they'll be subpoenaed. Like,
Yeah.
it's, so there may be some of them who are saying, I didn't really want to share my story. It's very embarrassing. Yeah, but you may have to, because you're going to be subpoenaed and you're going to have to tell your story. And so I hope that BAM is realizing even the people they have cowed into silence, they can't save from a subpoena. And that's going to be, not that I want to compel people to say things they don't want to say, but I hope BAM is realizing that people being quiet previously does not save BAM now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's tough, because I think a lot of people, they just they want that day, but they're scared that they can't have it. I think more people would love to go there and say their story than be like, I don't want to share it, but I will. I think they're waiting.
I think when your belief is that you are going to be the only one, you are going to be the voice that's standing up, and the solo voice, that's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
When you are, I imagine it's a lot easier and a lot less scary when you are one voice amongst many others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good. So there's a couple of sort of side questions that I think were probably relevant to tie into other things. So we talked about the gift card question. Oh, we actually talked about sending gift cards to the corporate stores, so that would hurt Ammon's pockets directly, and all the
to like charities, right? To local charities in the area of corporate stores. Yeah,
for sure.
Listen, they just put out a brand new PR statement saying they really want some stories from foster kids and the elderly people and some veterans. So I really feel like, in the spirit of helping BAM fulfill their new PR goals, I think it would be a really helpful and altruistic act on all of our parts if you have any gift cards to really help them out by that, and send those to foster offices, DACA offices, group homes, or senior living facilities, rehab facilities, any of those in the vicinity, and really help them reach those goals.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It is a very clever idea, and I give it was Tavia's idea, right?
Yeah. Although Tavia did say she was brainstorming with somebody in the comments, so she didn't. So this is credit to credit. She was like, I can't take full credit for that. I was talking to somebody in the comments about that. So
but my understanding is, tell me if I'm understanding this correctly, if somebody went into their local individually owned franchise, purchased a gift card, the money would go to the local store.
No, the money would go to corporate.
Oh, because it's a gift card.
Yeah.
What if they purchased it with cash?
The money would still go to corporate.
Oh, then never mind. Don't do that. Only do it if you've already purchased the gift card.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if 200 or 300, 400, $500,000 worth of accounts payable showed up at the Orem store, that'd be pretty nice.
Yeah.
That'd be a nice gesture.
Corporate holds all of that money in an account, and then is supposed to reconcile when somebody spends that money.
That's what I wanted to touch on, the supposed to reconcile, because in your case, they didn't reconcile.
I shouldn't say never has. I don't know that. I only know in our case, they never did.
In our case, they never did, despite repeatedly asking.
For sure, yeah, because, and if you guys don't know, this is another point out there about the experience that Chrys and Ben had with dealing with these guys, is that Chrys, you called up the gift card company and said, hey, what are all the transactions? I need to be able to send this data over to corporate to show them what they owe me for reimbursement.
I wasn't getting a clear answer from corporate. Oh, well, we'll do the reconciliation. We'll figure that out.
They drew it out, and they never paid you.
Give me a number. So I reached out to Heartland myself and said, I need to know exactly how much was spent, how many gift cards were bought, and how many gift cards were redeemed at my location, and I need to know what the balance of that is, what that difference is. And And then because if Ammon was in your position, he'd probably try to fine corporate for not sending it, right? He'd be like, hey, you guys owe me $4,000 extra as a fine, and then I'm gonna take your house if you don't want to pay or whatever. Yeah.
That's the BAM School of Management, right? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, while also claiming that I was not paying the vendors and paying different things and such on. I think that's
suing his dad in the background.
Well, suing his own father. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
happy family over there with Eamon. Oh, it's all right.
It's a rough Thanksgiving.
It's a rough Thanksgiving. I wonder where he gets it. I mean, his dad has anyway. But I don't want to dig into his family too much. But so in a previous podcast with Lego Law Life, you had mentioned your store was broken into several times. So if Josh or any of these guys try to say like, oh, the store was broken into, the Mansell sets were stolen, is that like did any of these break-ins happen after the Mansell sets like came to the store?
I mean, a couple of them did. And like all the video footage was handed to the police department. The set list, what we could identify, was handed to the police department.
Okay.
All of that stuff, if that comes up in something that we are going to need moving forward in our lawsuit, that'll be we can request, our attorney can request those records from the Kaiser Police. I filed police reports in every single one. And we handed them a list of, here's the thing. I genuinely don't remember. Like, I genuinely do not remember because it's been so long. I do know that one of his sets, the Jabba's throne room set, was
snatched off a table or something like that.
Off a table. Yeah. And that was a customer who had grabbed like 2 other sets, and he was just he was standing in line. And there was a customer in front of him with his 2 little kids. And he was kind of standing in line waiting to check out. And then he waited until I turned around and turned my back I think I went to grab a bag or do something. And then he just dashed out the door. The customer that was there with his kids tried to like chase him down. So that set I knew, because from the video footage of that, I could actually like identify the set and track it. And it's actually marked in my spreadsheet as stolen. Any of the other break-ins, I don't think Bryan's were involved, but I can't actually say that without going back to the Kaiser. And I haven't yet, because it's like, that's going to be something that our lawyer is going to have to decide if they need to do or not.
But Bryan
if we
spoke
need
about
to do.
It. I saw Bryan speak about it recently on one of his videos, where he was like, "That's not. There were only a couple. That's not.
And
that's not the story."
And I don't know. And any of those emails to the Kaiser Police Department sharing that evidence would be done through the store's email account. I genuinely don't remember. This is. I know the first one wasn't, because it was before we bought the store.
Before we purchased the store.
And so it was before we had the collection. I think the second one was before we had the collection, because it was within like a month of the first break-in. I would literally have to track back through the social media posts about the break-ins to time it, to like track exactly when the break-ins happen.
I am fairly sure
the first one was the worst. Yeah. Because that was when they came back.
They broke the front door. I mean, they smashed the front door glass. And
I think I saw a video of that. Yeah. I think there's a video of it.
Came back, and that was like $10,000. And our insurance said, nope, you can't prove the value of any of this stuff or because insurance is crap. Turns out it's real hard when you're talking about minifigures,
collectibles,
individual figures. Yeah, they didn't take Bricklink as a credible evaluator of the value of the figures, which was a whole different hassle. But I would have to track. I know I'm almost certain the first 2 break-ins, because they happen on a pretty consistent basis. I know the first one happened before we bought the store, because that should have been hindsight. Maybe don't do this. Probably the universe's way.
Yeah.
But you have
reference not the smash and grab, the opposite of the smash and grab, the grab and dash.
Yeah.
And he was made aware of that.
And that the police report was
does
made.
Not explain the missing sets. There were,
And I mean, just to clarify too, like, people like might not know, like, you guys had 3 safes, right? Yeah. It was not just one. So it was like things were, Bryan's stuff isn't just getting, someone's breaking in, grabbing things off the wall. There's 3 safes in there.
It was the farthest back storage room that also locked itself. We put it, each one of those they were in and out of the store in under 2 minutes each time.
Yeah.
That is that they are in and out. They would break the glass, run in, grab what they could in an armful, and run out.
And that's why we did
as fast as possible. And so that was
good timing. I'm going to take a bio break there.
Okay. And then I'm going to take a little break. They would smash the front door, the glass door, come in, grab a full handful of what sets they could, and then run out. And so we put everything in, Bryan's stuff and our more high value sets themselves in that back in a locked room, and then in safes within the locked room. And part of that is they're not staying in the building long enough to make it through all those different steps. There's only so much that you can do. I had fights with the landlord. This pisses me off. You want something that absolutely fucking pisses me off? Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't want to get your channel censored. I begged the landlord. I reached out to the landlord after every break-in. Can I please do something for these front windows so this stops happening? Can I put up security gates? Can I please do something? Can I paint the front windows colors so you can't see in? Can I paint the front windows or put stickers over them so at least you can't see through them? Can I do everything? And the landlord came back and was like, well, I don't want you putting any kind of security gate up because that could detract from the appearance of the storefront. This is a storefront that was literally falling apart. The fence around the parking lot is rotting solid, which is irony in itself. But he was like, the one thing that you could do is get those temporary removable security bars. And then I could have spent 2 hours every night putting them up, and then 2 hours every morning taking them down and paying my staff to spend 4 hours a day doing that. Yeah. If you go to the store now and you go see any videos that were posted or pictures that were taken of the store, there is a metal retractable gate covering those front windows. And I'm so angry that Josh and Brandon were able to do that, but I got every step of the way from the landlord, no, you can't use those. Sorry. I digressed because that still makes me angry.
No, it does. It seems like it's unreasonable that they wouldn't want to do anything to help you out with that.
Yeah.
So Zan 1964 says, I saw the video of the break-in, and in my opinion, it looks like Josh and Brandon bodyguards. They even wore leather masks made by Okay, that might be true. I don't know. I didn't see that close, but
the videos are available on the.
They were casing the joint out before, right? They were casing the joint out for months. That's a nice.
I have no comment on that.
Let me ask you. So basically, we looked at the Google AI, how they've manipulated the SEO. I wanted to ask you about what's the policy for tracking purchases? Because you mentioned that on an EBN live once. So if someone brings stuff into the store to trade to you, do you track that information? Is there a policy in the franchise?
Oh yeah. So we had buy sheets. We actually had a contract that we had the person selling it sign. That's why we couldn't buy from any minors. And so you would have to, name, address, phone number, driver's license, and then you'd have to sign it. You'd have to sign it on the bottom saying, I have the right to sell this. And so then there would be a spot on that where we could go, 38 figures or, 50 gallons of bulk or these sets. And then either the amount that they were getting in trade or the amount they were getting in cash was put on that. The customer would have to sign that. And then we kept those.
So the reason
there's a specific time period. I don't know exactly what that time period is. I know I never got rid of any of the trade sheets from my entire time there, management and ownership. They were all still there.
It's years.
There was a giant drawer.
Yeah, you're supposed to hold on to that for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Because the reason I ask is because on the BAM map, right? They did the deep dive into the data, like the audit of the Eugene online shop data.
Yeah.
And there's apparently 23 sets. A big outlier comes in one day. So I was just asking because, you know, there should be some record of who brought all those in.
Yeah.
Maybe the records say Brandon Best.
Yeah.
I don't know. But you did note also that soon after the takeover, a lot of the or pretty much all of the online purchases at the Salem Chrystal location routed through the Eugene shop as well, right?
We never did online shopping. Okay. We never had an online sales platform through the store, through the website. Gotcha. It wasn't until after they took over the store that I, out of curiosity, went to the website and then went down and went, oh, there's a shop now. Because part of this was I was going on the Google reviews and on the website and the social media a couple of times a week, just seeing what they were going to be posting, if they were saying anything about me as we're waiting for Reckless Ben's video. So this is way back when. And so one day I went on the store's website and I was like, oh, there's a shop now button. That's odd. We never had that. And I clicked on that. And sure enough, you click on the shop now and it takes you to the Eugene store. It still does.
Strange. Yeah.
Can I mention the thing I showed you earlier?
Which thing's that?
The new website.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just such a great example.
I don't think anybody will have noticed this yet. I hope Rose is still in the chat somewhere. So BAM announced, right? They released their new HR marketing plan yesterday, right? Their big plan, how to get to net neutral in the next 12 months. Okay. And part of that was a brand new website. And so
Minifigs.com.
So I was, updates can go two ways now. Yes, they can, Rose. Resisting the urge to blow a raspberry. I learned from the best. So I was scrolling on Facebook in between my last live, and we had a little confusion on this one, a little miscommunication on my part. And so I pop on Facebook, and Facebook, because I spend all my time talking about Bricks and Minifigs, now shows me all the Bricks and Minifigs stores. So Bricks and Minifigs North America came across my Facebook. We're so proud to announce our new location. So if you go, our new website. So if you go up to the store locator, you go to that little search bar and you type in Oregon. And then you scroll down.
Open daily.
Salem, Oregon. Open daily.
Nice. They still have not updated.
Oh, they're so dumb.
You created a brand new website. You proudly launched it.
Yeah.
And you left.
BAM Map's going to like that one.
Is a permanently closed store.
Yeah, that's
on your brand new website.
That's just so boneheaded.
And these are the people. These are the people that claim I am a bad business person and was a poor representative of the brand. And that
makes no sense at all. Like, because you're a manager for them for a year, and then they're like, this is a great idea for you to take over. Yeah, you're so great. And then they tell you the store and you turn the reputation around, and they want to say you're a bad business person. Doesn't make any sense. And just as an aside, like, I know a lot of people like kind of maybe talk crap about the layaway or whatever, but I know you've mentioned that there's so many like sets, you can't have everything on the floor at one time. And it's it's a good problem to be dealing with, where it's like, we have so much inventory, we can't display it at all. How are we going to sell it otherwise? Okay, here's an option.
The other side of that is to be quite honest, I'm done. Like, I am done defending the fact that I operated my business. And I don't mean this towards
asking you to.
No, I don't mean this towards you. But, like, addressing that layaway specific and particularly in the context now of what has come out with, from the PR statements and their HR plan and all of that, is, like, I'm done defending myself for the fact that I ran my store in a way that served my community and my customers. And not in a way that served my own personal bottom line. And having watched Bryan on his Echo Base, I think it was Echo Base, talking about the consignment and addressing the layaway and talking about his dad's response and particularly the story I hadn't remembered about Ed giving the kid the set. I had forgotten about that. I feel like that speaks to everything that I did as far as layaway in terms of that consignment was honest and true to what that collection was supposed to represent to the store and the community and to the collectors and Lego enthusiasts in general. So at this point, when BAM coming out with their operations manual and their PR statements and their HR, their new public relations thing targeting neurodivergent people and the elderly and veterans and all of these marginalized groups, I will even more emphatically stand by the fact that I ran my store to serve my community and my customers. And I am never going to apologize that I didn't get wealthy off of that. Like, at the end of the day, I am more proud now after all of that crap has come out about the way I ran my business and the way I interacted with my customers and the environment I created than I was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
A year and a half ago.
I think that that's how you build a successful business too, is by creating a good customer base, good customer relationships. And I know that you said in a previous podcast that when you took over the store, it had a pretty bad relationship for very low buy costs. Like, they would give people nothing for their sets and stuff. And you have to change that perception. You have to build the community. And just as a note to other people, like even Relic, he'd mentioned in one of his podcasts that like he would give bulk pieces out to people for free sometimes. Because he'd be like, hey, you need that for your set, just take it.
Somebody would come in and go, I only need these 2 pieces. How much? And I'm like, I'm not going to charge you for
$6.99.
Well, I would always make a joke and just say, like, it would cost me more to bring it in. It would cost me more in processing fees to charge you than I would charge you for that. Just take, like, that's how you build. Right?
And that person recommends you to other people. And when you let someone put their favorite set on layaway, they're telling all their friends.
Exactly.
And they come in and they say, I want to check out some cool stuff too.
Yeah. When you finish the build, send us a picture. We want to see it. And that's not just PR. We also like Lego. We genuinely want to see what you build. Like, we're actually in this, you know?
We had a couple customers that would come in on a pretty consistent basis. And they really didn't spend a lot. They didn't buy a lot, but they would come in and hang out and just tell us all about the mocks that they were working on.
I remember you said that one guy would just bring in his mocks.
And that's kind of one of those where.
Yeah. Crazy. Like, I don't want to give any spoilers, but I'm sure you've heard of the stories of what happened to mocks at the corporate store in Boise, for example. Maybe you heard that story from Tavia, but I don't want to give any spoilers. I just want to throw it out there. More stories to come.
I'll have to look that up. I don't know that one.
No, she hasn't put it out in public. That's why I'm saying it. I know you've spoken to her privately as well.
I love Stan Lexi's comment here. Ammon would weigh those 2 pieces on a wheeled scale to get a quarter.
He'd weigh them on a broken scale. You know.
You're right.
He put his elbow on the scale, charge you a little. Yeah, but
I've said it before. I was never going to make $1 million owning the store. But I don't, at the end of the day, you were talking earlier about Matt and Ammon's dad and kind of following a pattern of behavior. And I think when we grow up with parents that sit outside of the norms, perhaps, we either mimic their behavior or we actively rebel against their behavior. And I saw who my mom was and my mom's belief system, and I went the opposite. Mm-hmm. And I'm quite proud of that. My mom equated a bank account to morality, and I will never do that. I won't look in the mirror at night and say the amount of money I have in my bank account reflects my morals and my character as a human being. That's not it. I am
Yeah, too many people selling their souls.
I'm not gonna cry because
Bryson, thank you for that one. You made me laugh.
I'm not gonna cry because she just died. But if you have to model your behavior after somebody, model it after Dolly Parton.
Yeah, be Dolly. Don't be Ammon.
Nice.
And that's blame his pants. Thank you. That is the best description of that kind of narcissism of DARVO I've ever heard. The kind of person who blame the pants.
I would rather,
No,
I would rather the world be a little bit better when I left it.
Sorry, you were making a very serious point. And
I was
distracted
and you
by
were laughing at poop jokes.
Juvenile humor, but that was funny.
That's valid. That's fair. That's fair. We all like poop jokes.
Bryce, he sent this. We'll get us back on track with the feels. But no, I agree with what you say. It's like I think it's like just akin to like a lot of people are just a modern day version of selling your soul. It's like I don't really care what what ethics or morals count. My bank account's going up. I'm gonna screw this person over. Oh, you want a little piece of bulk like $10.99 minimum charge? Oh, sorry.
Logically, and Ben and I, we've had so many conversations about this. Logically, I can understand. Logically, I can understand those people who are willing to profit off of exploiting other people and taking advantage of other people.
Exactly what it. Yeah, exactly.
Emotionally and mentally, I fundamentally do not understand the soul of somebody like that. I don't understand. I will never be able to understand the kind of person that can do those things and not look in the mirror and like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I understand it, but I don't understand it. I could never I don't.
And I know, this is a consistent thing with us. I am far more forgiving, permissive, perhaps, of folks. And so I always try and remind myself, like, I don't know what happened to them as a kid. I don't know what created that framework.
He's more likely to assign the best motivations and the best possible intentions behind something. Yeah. And I am, if you repeat a pattern of doing this thing, you're doing this thing for a reason. Well, there's not.
Even if somebody does have, a trauma history, whatever, harm is harm. Yeah. Like, it doesn't change the fact that you still did the thing.
Yeah.
And so, even if, there's, who knows what they went through that made them the way they are, but it doesn't change what they've done to others.
That was a lot of therapy work with my therapist. Yeah. I got a lot of, so when my mom died and I people would come to me and say, I'm so sorry. And my response to that would be, I'm not. Like,
and then you deal with the guilt.
And then you deal with the internalized guilt and the shame. And it was a very intense work with my therapist when I went to her after my mom died and said, am I a terrible person? Like, am I a narcissist? Am I a terrible human being? Because the first emotion I felt when my mother died was relief. And it wasn't because she's not in pain anymore. It wasn't because of any of this. It was like, I no longer have to, I've spent 40 some odd years desperately clinging to the notion that I might be good enough to earn my mother's love. And the way my therapist phrased it with me was, you have been grieving your mom since you were 7 years old. The relief you feel is you no longer have to grieve the mother that you wanted to have. And then, and that was that was a weight off of me. Thank you. But the other side of that was, how do you explain that to people? How do you respond to that to other people? And without coming across as an absolute monster. And I lost my train of thought on that one. There was a question that started that off.
I don't know.
And I lost what it was.
I think
people would come to me with the because I was adopted, right? And so there's two main phrases that people that were adopted get one main phrase that people that were adopted get is, you were so lucky. You were so, whatever your mom did to you, whatever your parents did to you, you were so lucky because they chose you. You could have ended up in blah, 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 blah. One, we don't ever tell a child that is a biological child of an abusive parent, you're so lucky they gave birth to you. We don't say that. That's not a thing.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not lucky. They chose me. Adoptive parents and foster parents intentionally choose to raise a child. And then they choose how they're going to raise that child. But the other side of that coin, and this is where I'm going back to what Ben was talking about and circling it back to all of this, was the phrase that I would get when I would talk about my mom would always be, she did the best that she could. And I hate that. I hate that phrase, she did the best that she could. I utterly hate that phrase because it absolves the abuser of their behavior. Your mom couldn't not abuse you because it was the best she could, because she was abused herself. I hate that phrasing because it absolves them of their behavior.
I think it is misused if it is used that way. I think
it's always, every time I've heard it, it's been used that way. Well, you have to forgive her. She did the best she could. Like, how many of you that have been in those relations in the chat have said, you know, you can't hold that they did the best they could, right?
See, and I would say they did the best they could, and the harm is still real. Like, it doesn't change the harm.
Well, and how my therapist told me to approach it is, they did the best they could. You deserved better.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe we assign the best possible motivations for Ammon and Matt and Kai and Josh and Brandon and HR and everybody in the corporate office and everybody involved in this, right? The American Fork Police Department, the Kaiser Police Department, all of them. Maybe we look at them and go, they were doing, I have read Jeanette's book, yes. They were doing the best they could. Maybe we say that. We say they were doing the best they could. It doesn't matter because we deserved better. Bryan deserved better. Reckless Ben deserved better. Their customer base deserved better. Their franchisees deserve better. It doesn't matter.
Impact is greater than intent.
Yes.
What they did matters more than what they were setting out to do.
Yeah. The harm that you do matters more than the fact that you maybe didn't mean to do that harm.
Yeah.
And that's I'm cognizant of going into every day. You never know what is happening in anybody else's life. You never know. I can even sympathize with Amanda in her interactions with Reckless Ben in that video, right? Because I don't know what was going on in her life. I don't know what she'd been told by Josh and Brandon. I don't know anything that was going on in her life, right? So I can give her that amount of sympathy. I've worked in customer service long enough. I know that you can get to the point that you can snap. I try to approach every day going like, okay, that server was short with me, or this person cut me off in traffic, or this or that, whatever. I always try to approach it as, I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what's going on. Maybe your dog just died and you are mad at the world. So I'm going to extend every possible grace that I can to you.
Not so much in traffic. You don't in traffic. In every other circumstance. Nobody else has to hear what she's screaming at somebody in traffic.
So. Listen, there are two things. If I'm getting ready to back out of a parking spot and you stop behind me and you honk your horn like you own my time, I'm going to put that bitch in drive and pull up my book. I've got nowhere to go. I have done that. I have intentionally put the car in drive,
a little bit of pettiness,
unbuckled my seatbelt, and pulled up my book.
Traffic is where the pettiness manifests itself. Yes.
The other side of that is if I'm going over the speed limit and you are tailgating me, you are aggressively tailgating me, I'm not going to brake check you because that's dangerous and against the law, and don't do that. I am, however, going to very slowly go down to the exact speed limit and turn on my cruise control.
Yeah.
Because I have nowhere to go.
She would.
I would mildly inconvenience you if you were me in traffic. That is how I operate. But I try to approach every day with a little bit of grace, right?
No, that's true. Yeah.
Ammon and Matt and Josh and Brandon could have done that from the very beginning.
Right.
Bryan walks into the store and they could have
yeah.
Kai even says, this is us giving you grace. You need a dictionary.
No, he's not.
I'm pretty sure none of them understand the rules of grammar or how language
what
works.
Words mean. Yeah, that was well, and I even asked him in the moment, like, does that sound like grace to you? You walk away with nothing. That's your idea of grace,
but I think
just made my day as a writer. I don't think I've ever been quoted to myself ever, and so thank you so much, Rose, for actually reading along, and that warms the cockles of my heart.
And Annie, that's on the thing. My father just died, and yes, I'm sad, but I've also been relieved. There's I've talked about shame enough on the Steep Talk podcast. I've talked about the shame, and I think you get into a viral situation like this and people forget that they're dealing with humans, and all of the every experience that I've had that goes into creating who I am and how I reacted and my responses in the store, my man, all of that, all of my life experiences go into that. And to anybody that's dealt with a situation like that, grief is a weird thing. And I have my own issues around grief because I was only ever punished for how I experienced grief as a child. I was never sad in the right way.
The proper way.
Yeah. So I don't really know, I don't know how to experience grief. I do know that I'm never going to judge somebody for how they grieve. And I'm certainly never going to look at somebody. I do not play the trauma Olympics, right? Or the oppression Olympics. I am never going to look at somebody and go, your trauma isn't bad enough. Yeah. Mine's worse. Yeah. So if you are feeling relief, then I'm going to presume you have a good reason to feel that relief. And so I hope if anybody is experiencing anything like that hearing me talk about it maybe gives you a little bit of sometimes we need to be reminded that we're not alone. And sometimes society tells us you're a bad person if you're relieved when somebody dies. And sometimes that's the voice that we hear, and that's the thing that we believe. And I'm sorry, but death doesn't negate the harm that you did when you were alive. And that's maybe hearing somebody else talk about it helps take a little bit of that weight off of you. And, my parents were incredibly conservative. I grew up in a upper middle class, very, very conservative household. So I understand that. I myself am neurodivergent and queer. I have a neurodivergent and queer child. I fundamentally disagree with every single belief system my parents held. It takes some work to reconcile the people that you tried to love versus the people that they actually were. This has taken a dark turn. I'm so sorry. Somehow in my lives, this always happens. I've gathered this wonderful, wonderful little following of my little neurodivergent raccoons. And I think they sometimes do this on purpose. Which I'm very happy.
I don't think they have to do anything.
I feel like we have to leave this to my own personal.
Yeah. No, it's all good. I think
it's
pointed like what you're saying. It's like, I think a lot of people probably resonate with that thing you said where it's like, oh, they did the best they could. It's a pure cop out. It's did they really do the best they could? They could have acted differently. Yeah. Maybe they did the best they could for themselves. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they, at the time, they thought it would be helpful, but it's not the best they could. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's definitely a cop out. I think,
I see those and I want to reach through the screen and give a hug and I can't do that. It's the only way I could do is with my words and sometimes, and then that gets me, and Ben knows this about me. I want to make you can't fix all the problems, but like, if at the end of the day, there's one person that I maybe had a tiny little part in making whatever load they are carrying, whatever is weighing on them, just like a little tiny bit lighter, like that's a good day. That's a worthwhile day.
Yeah.
That is also why these lives then go from.
No, it's all good. I mean, there is kind of this notion of like fate versus free will, like tied up in there too. It's like, are they fated to do what they did, or could they make the choice? Like, at any time, Amen or Kai or any of these guys could have decided, hey, I'm not going to be a complete dirtbag today, and I'm going to let people.
They could call me right now. Like,
they could call right now.
You know, like they could change
they
the
could
course
call.
If they felt
like,
you are never the person, like, there's nothing forcing you. Be nice, Mean Panda. I saw that. There's nothing forcing you to stay the person that you are right now.
Yeah.
Just because you've maybe been on one path, you always like. I truly believe that people can change. I truly, genuinely believe that people are capable. People can change. Not everybody.
It seems like that would be the ultimate goal of existence, right? Like if we just stay the same forever, then how would that? What's the point? You know, the point is to evolve.
When we know better, we do better. Exactly. Thank you, Danny. Yes, I've said that. When we know better, we do better. People are capable. I have to believe that. The world is so dark right now, and there's so many things that just suck right now that I have to believe. Like, I have to believe that.
And I think that's intrinsic to that conception of they're doing the best they can is rather than framing that as a defense, right? Like it doesn't obviate the harm. They're doing the best they can, and therefore, how can we help them learn how to do better?
And those are two very different things.
Yeah.
I think also, you have to. I think you might be capable of change, but you have to want to change. Me and Panda being mean about the tomatoes
that I didn't.
I did defend Ben. I did defend you earlier.
The yellow tomatoes.
I didn't actually message Ben and say, no, I really do want the yellow tomatoes. Can you please go get them?
I would have gone to get them.
He missed the first message in the live chat and only saw like the subsequent.
Yeah.
I would prefer tomatoless Ben over horny Ben though.
Yeah, I think that's. I mean, it's a deep cut. People would really have to be in the weeds to get tomatoless.
I got that.
What does that mean?
In his defense, I do have the orange tomatoes and the green tomatoes and the red tomatoes, the little ones.
You have
almost
them?
all.
Yeah, there are some left over, but I ate. No,
you said you didn't have any yesterday.
I said I didn't have any of the yellow ones. I ate all the yellow ones out of the package.
I know exactly which ones which package you're talking about, because Olivia, she gets the same exact ones, and the yellow ones.
I picked all the yellow ones out of all the other ones, and now it's come back to bite me because I ate all the good ones first.
If we could go killer tomatoes, Ben, that's cooler. I like that.
Nice.
Not diarrhea lettuce, Ben.
I'm gonna step and take a break now. That way Ben can get back on track.
Yeah.
I'm gonna step away and take a little break.
Okay.
And then
all right, sounds good.
Get back on track.
Okay, so for the deep cut you were talking about, the tomatoless Ben is a reference to like last night you were supposed to bring home like I'm joking about. You were supposed to bring home yellow tomatoes.
In the comments, the comments from work, and apparently made some reference to wanting some yellow tomatoes when she got home, and I didn't catch that comment, so she got home and was like,
"No, I rewatched the live."
She was very forgiving of the fact that I had failed to acquire the yellow tomatoes.
But another deep cut, I want to ask, like, so what's on the horizon for Don Orlando? We need to know, like, what is the outcome that we need to find for Don Orlando?
For who? Don Orlando. Yes. Yeah. So, Rolando de Santa Maria del Pi. So he is. This is. Maddie is referencing the novel that I'm writing, and the main character is this knight errant, and he has come to the United States to figure out why this land is cursed. And we are, it's a flip of Don Quixote. So Don Quixote is the story of this old man who decides he's a knight and he's crazy and we're all supposed to laugh at him. And when you read Don Quixote, it doesn't translate super well for a modern audience, because even though it is genuinely funny, like it's still a funny book, we're watching this guy who's crazy and we're all supposed to be laughing at him, and that feels weird to us. As modern people, we feel a lot more sympathy than people felt towards mental illness 500 years ago. So I thought, okay, I'm going to take this story and I'm going to flip it. So he comes across as crazy to modern people because he's walking around and he's a knight errant and he's fighting giants and he is talking about magic and stuff. But we find out as the readers, he's sane. We're crazy for not being able to see it. And there is magic and there are, giants and all this stuff. So he comes to this country, he's fighting. Well, then as I was telling the story, I'm doing it in a style that's called high modernism, where it's very self-referential. So it's like the book is talking about the book, like the narrator's talking about you're reading this book and it's very self-aware, Deadpool, fourth wall breaking kind of thing. And so as I was doing that, I was talking about the life of this character in the story, who's Benjamin, who's a writer, who lives in Portland, and who is embroiled in a legal case. Well, at the beginning of the story, that wasn't a huge part of the story. It was more about, this character has just come back to the United States and is broke. And I didn't explain why he's broke. Like, now you all know, because a company stole our store. So that in the rewrite, I will have to make that far clearer in the beginning, because as I've been writing it, the case has kind of taken over my life and therefore has taken over the life of this Benjamin character. So the way that I handled that is I created a evil wizard character who secretly owns this company called Megacorp, and Megacorp is responsible for stealing the store of the Benjamin character, and it all is kind of tracking. And so now what's going to eventually happen to Rolando de Santa Maria del Pi, the knight errant, is the stories are going to kind of converge, where Benjamin the writer is going to be involved in some way in informing, because he saw it on a YouTube video by a couple of guys named Coach and Nick who have a YouTube show, figures out that this character Fenkum is the owner of this Megacorp company. And that's what's going to allow Rolando de Santa Maria del Pi, this is a bit of a spoiler, but that's what's going to allow him to figure out where Fenkum, who Benjamin the writer, who doesn't know anything about magic, informs him Fenkum's in charge of Megacorp, and that is what's going to allow Rolando to find Fenkum. And we, as the readers, know Fenkum is an evil mustache-twirling wizard who was really fun to write, because writing about a mustache-twirling villain right now is, that was enjoyable. Anybody who's been following this BAM story will get a lot of, there are a lot of jokes in there. So ultimately, Rolando will have to confront the real cause for the curse, and the real cause for the curse is the evil wizard Fenkum, who has been trying to get us all to a place where we just kind of accept things. And that's the deeper cut that I'm going for is, I think a lot of our problem, and I think this has been really evident in this case, is the presumption that injustice is something we should tolerate, that systems should persist, right? And we just kind of go around and go, yeah, things are bad in this way or that way. I guess that's the way it is. And that's not served us well. It's really unhealthy. We need to say, hey, if we're noticing something that's deeply wrong, we can call it out and we can say this is changeable. It's not like the conditions of our nation or our world are eternal. We could change them. And so I hope people come away from the story going, even if the curse is not magically lifted, in the same way the curse will not be magically lifted on this country. Like, there's not going to be one day where everybody goes, oh yeah, we could change everything. That's a scary prospect. Change is frightening. But I do think we can at least break out of the attitude of there's nothing I can do and nothing could ever change. And I think even seeing something like the Mansell family, made whole is a reminder. Hey, when people push back, when somebody like Reckless Ben does some crazy stuff and pushes back, it really can make a difference. And I think that's inspiring to a lot of people who've been watching this whole case.
For sure. I think it ties back into like what we said before, where it's like, oh, they did the best they could as a cop out. It's like what you were saying is, do we accept that? Right. Do we just say, oh, the injustice is something we have to tolerate? Or do we say like, no, we should strive to do better than that? And we can't just accept this injustice. We need to call out what's wrong.
And calling it out and loudly. I mean, one of the things that has been wonderful for me to see is it's the calling it out loudly, right? It's voice after voice joining in and saying, this is not acceptable. And that kind of collective volume of people saying, wait a second, you know, it would have bothered me personally, but now I'm seeing that it bothers the people around me. This is not okay. And that then, you know, that's why BAM will ultimately change its behavior. It's not because any one person is upset. It's when they look at the bottom line and say, everybody's upset. We have to change what we're doing.
Yeah, for sure. I know we've been going almost 3 hours. There was some questions on the true value of the Mansell collection. I was wondering if do you think we could go rapid fire through these maybe in like 5-10 minutes?
Sure. Now this is one where Chrys is more the expert on the.
I guess I was asking because I was wondering if she'd be willing to tap back in.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, thanks, Chrys. Sorry, I know we've been going on a marathon, and I don't want to keep you guys too long.
When I first started doing these, I was like, I smoke. It's a terrible habit. Whatever. Listen, I don't want to live to be 90 years old.
Oh, my bad. No, I thought you were like just trying to chill and like relax.
No,
like,
I was not in the bathroom. No, I was. But like when we first started doing these lives, I was like, and then I've got to sit through it. But then I start getting.
No, for sure, yeah.
No, I'm glad you told me. When I'm like, I need to.
I don't have any bad habits.
Do the do, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you need the code red though, or Baja Blast.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah. So no, I'm good.
Okay, sorry. No, I just I just thought you might have wanted to like kind of wrap it or whatever. So, but
yeah.
But for sure,
we've got time for a few more.
Okay, so there's a few questions here. Basically, like one of the biggest things I've seen, like a lot of people refer to it as like the $200,000 Mansell collection, and because that's what came out in the original video and everything around it. It's like that's how it's referred to. But personally, I think the value is probably a lot closer to 200,000 than the 107 that we've heard in the CoffeeZilla video.
Well, and keep in mind the CoffeeZilla video was keeping out the minifigs.
All the minifigs.
Yeah. So there we're looking at around realistically 40 to 50,000.
Yeah. Because
you're also keeping out everything that Bryan like never actually made it into the inventory,
which is another 15.
Because it was duplicates and
exactly, yeah. And these are some of the things I wanted to ask you about because like I know like the 107 is just the sets, and that's not including the duplicate sets that Bryan held off to the side. Yeah. And then also it's the 107 is not including the minifigures, which I believe at one point was quoted to be worth 30,000 to 50,000, just all the minifigures together. Yeah. So
and that's, when you low to high based on the market and the market, the demand, all of that.
But then on top of that, like, so the consignment, I think you'd said previously is 746 sets, 932 minifigures. And that's just the, well, I don't know, but that's just what was on your like just what you were took in on consignment. That's not all the duplicates he held on to. And,
I think it ended up being closer to, because on my, I think it ended up being closer to like 1,200 minifigures.
Okay.
Eventually.
Yeah. But, no, that makes sense because I think there was like a tote, there was a tote of like 400, almost 400 or something that got. Yeah.
That never got. I never got
duplicates from the case. Yeah. So if you take that 107 number, that's also Coffee said that was a mid-range, right? So low to high, but a collector like Mansell, like I wanted to ask you, like what was the typical collection of these sets that he had? Were they like pristine? The condition.
The boxes were pristine.
Exactly.
They did over time, and part of that is the taking them on and off the shelf. And just keep in mind that when I got them from his dad, they had been bought and stored and not moved.
Yeah.
But as you handle them and as careful as we were moving them from the shelf to the storage and back and forth, as careful as you are, every time you handle it, the tape is going to loosen a little bit. And when we're talking about Star Wars and Lego and collectibles in general, when those two little pieces of tape that hold the box together that came from Lego, when those pieces start to loosen, that takes a box that's new in box and pristine to a little bit damaged now. And if you can't prove that tape was not more than just loosened a little bit, it takes it from sealed to open even. And so, those little tiny, and that's why we put the low value and the high value on that inventory. Yeah.
But still, I mean, I think your broader point is correct. We were, I have heard those. Bryan the other day said 150 to 170.
Yeah.
And that sounds right to me.
Yeah, that's much more realistic. Yeah. Now, on the other hand, if you can prove provenance of anything from his collection,
that's the other thing.
Now, on the other hand,
it changed the value.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
if
true.
somebody were to be able to go, I can prove that. I mean, if they return, for example, the 20 sets that, still have yellow stickers, that they still, Bryan's going to be able to auction those things off with his own signature on them for more than they're worth. So,
and the value, maybe, right?
Maybe.
The value, it's so interesting when they were asking him about like signing, because I had my stepson Noah has it now. I gave it to Noah when we moved, but I had a Daily Bugle set that I bought and built, the Daily Bugle set that I bought and built, and then I bought a second one that I kept in the box. And when we went to conventions for 2 years, I took that set with me, and I had the box signed by
Charlie Cox, who plays Daredevil,
nicest guy I think I've ever met.
Yeah.
Charlie Cox he is everything you want him to be.
Yeah, super nice guy.
But I had it signed by him. I had it signed by the guy who does the voice for Miles Morales. I can't think of his name now, but it had a couple of different like signatures, and my plan was always going to be like, I'm going to collect as many signatures
to match
as I
all
can.
The characters,
And theoretically, those signatures increase the value, but also for some people, it may decrease the value. I did the same thing. I took a set.
Doctor Strange's mansion.
And had that one signed
by the director.
By Sam Raimi.
Sam Raimi, the director.
And that one, actually, we sold the Sanctum Sanctorum. And I took that and had it signed by Sam Raimi, and then had a picture of Sam Raimi signing it, because I didn't want to stand in line and pay.
You pay for the Providence
people. And
certify.
that we sold at the store, and somebody paid an extra couple $100 for the signature on that.
It was signed. So
it depends on, like, it's gonna sell. I would love
it for Bryan, and part of the reason I would love that for Bryan is, based on what I have seen of Bryan is done with Lego. Like, he has had such a bad experience.
Yeah.
And so I would love it if they do give him 20 sets back. He puts his signature, giant signature on them, sells them for as much as he possibly can, and is done with Lego. But he's now had that, that positive, that this has turned out to his benefit. So, Bryan, if you are watching this, and you want to get rid of Lego, I encourage you, sign those and auction them.
Yeah.
And
nice.
I think that would be very cool.
Yeah. It's really,
So go into the valuation by coffee. It'd probably be conservative to say when he took the mid-range, like a lot of these are very pristine, very good condition, maybe have a little wear from moving around. Yeah. But just to be clear for everyone, the 107 valuation was based on just the sets at a mid-range value. Yeah. And there were far more value. There's a lot more value there in the minifigures as well, 30 to 50K. Yeah. And it would probably all be more on the higher end, which would bump that up even more. Yeah. And this number that he dug into, right? He mentioned, like, when he was digging into his analysis, he said something about, like, there was the $15,000 side deal that he mentioned with M&R Productions. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you, like, because I know you had said that there was 13 sets that had come up after the move in the tote that was meant for conventions, and there was also 347 duplicate minifigures. Yeah. And so when you handed all that over to him, it was the value of those 13 sets and the minifigures $15K, or was that just part of the $15K? It's like, I don't know if you know the how much the deal with M&R Productions was, but it's kind of a key point.
Like, I never fully looked at, I know at some point that everything that M&R bought I think it was in CoffeeZilla's Patreon. I never really looked through because I know.
But it was everything because Bryan has said that since. So he got.
It was also the stuff that he had in his storage unit that I never had.
And so it would have included those sets.
It would have included, but been more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He cleared out his storage plus what we returned to him.
And a lot of people were kind of confused around I think Legal Eagle had mentioned that in those 13 sets was like a Cloud City.
Yeah.
And so people seemed to think like, okay, the Cloud City was back, but there were more than one. There was more than one Cloud City in his collection.
There were two of them. Yeah.
And one of them was gone and not recovered. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's kind of
rare. That might be one where people, can end up tracking it backwards. Who knows?
For sure.
Yeah. And that's one of those ones when you talk about the value, that's the perfect illustration of when that set was first produced and released by Lego, it was retailed at $199.
Yeah.
And
people thought it was too expensive, so then it didn't sell that much.
Well,
that's why it's so rare, I heard. Yeah.
It was, fewer of them were produced. It wasn't a mass produced set. It was a special. It's one of the rare. I believe there's only 2 blue box sets that Lego has produced. That is the light blue color. So because Star Wars sets have a very particular. They all use a darker blue. There is a particular designation with Lego that is blue box set when it comes to Star Wars, and it's a light blue. And that appeared on the Cloud City set, and it appeared on one of the smaller Cantina sets. And Bryan's collection had both of those smaller sets, one that was the blue box anniversary and one that wasn't. There was a $50 price difference between those two. Identical sets. Every single piece in that set is the same. Dang. The boxes are different colors, and it made a $50 difference. And then it was the first appearance of arm printing on a Lego minifigure. Those were the 2 things that made that set unique. For a collector, and those two things and the scarcity of it at any given point, you're only going to find maybe 4 to 10 of those for sale globally at any given time. It's exceedingly rare. And
before like we I want to do a quick shout out to the super chat, but no, it's all good. I was gonna say, because it seems like if the Cloud City was in that valuation of the $15,000 side deal, it seems to me the 13 sets, those 13 sets would comprise that 15,000. So then when you count the 347 duplicate minifigs that were also in that would mean this valuation of the 107 didn't include those 347 off to the side that wasn't already evaluated at 30 to 50,000.
And so that's something that wasn't clear. He had included those in the total value instead of like outside the value.
And I think it's just because a lot of people, I've seen people say that like, because in your recent claims and the claim like in the courts that like you were claiming damages of the Mansell collection valued at 125,000. So people would say, okay, so that's what they think the Mansell collection was worth.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey, wait, no, the Mansell collection was being sold for months before this claim. Yeah. So that's the time at the damage. That's the time of the damages.
Yes. We are trying to be sensitive to, we're trying to be accurate, and as accurate as we can. And so we're like, we know someone was sold, we know someone's returned to him. This is what we believe was.
I can only go by the value that remains like on my spreadsheet because I don't have the sales data. With our lawyer, we can't include any of that stuff because we don't know the accuracy or the provenance of that. We also don't include any of the M&R stuff. That number is based solely on what data I have available in my own spreadsheet.
Yeah, so we're trying to be as accurate. Like
with Walker, right? You mentioned him like he had the Ewok Village on layaway. I saw in the EBN interview that you'd mentioned that Walker did get the Ewok Village according to some text with Josh. Yeah. But I also heard that he had like 6 things on layaway. So did everything get reconciled with him, or just Ewok Village?
I am incredibly grateful to Austin King from Bricks and Beyond because
shout out Austin.
Walker is a customer of his as well. And he was able to pass my contact information along to Walker. So I have since spoken to him with his mom's like with his mom's permission. I don't know how old he is now. He might have turned 18.
Yeah.
I'm so bad at judging ages. I'm so bad at it.
No, it's all good.
But you know, he and his mom have agreed and allowed me to pass his contact information along to our attorney. So I have since been able to confirm with Walker that he was able to get the Ewok Village set, but he did have other layaway that he had made payments on that he did not get.
Okay. Yeah. And is he the only layaway confirmed that you know, or you have other people in your network as well?
The only one that I have been able to personally confirm with. The only one that I have been in contact with. Yeah.
Do you have any other names that that maybe Austin should be on the lookout for that you might remember?
I am so bad with names, and his stands out because he was a regular customer.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like his name stands out to me because he was a regular customer.
But it would be good. I'm glad. You know, we will be speaking with an employee who was an employee afterwards. That would be really interesting to find out. Yeah. Did they continue to fulfill those?
Well, and part of
have a witness to that fact.
Yeah, and part of what's helpful with Walker in particular is his name is on one of those notes in my photos
visible
from that
in
night.
The photos, yeah, that's helpful.
So that itself was helpful. But I can confirm he was not able to get everything he had on layaway.
Because stealing from old people is one thing, but stealing from kids, everybody hates that.
Well, that's the thing.
People hate that.
It's a perfect example of if they had handled this properly.
Yeah.
Then they could have avoided, as you said, you shine a bright spotlight on something and you're going to find a whole lot of other things, right? Yeah. And so now they could have avoided, now a whole lot of other misbehavior is going to come.
It's not always the crime. Sometimes it's the cover up.
Because speaking of the cover up, we heard about this mystery shipment that Tavia kind of referenced. And in the pictures she supplied, there was an Ewok village. So that's why I was very concerned about what happened with Walker's Ewok village.
I heard there were multiple in the store that night.
There were multiple. So that mystery shipment may have had one of Bryan's.
Bryan had, I believe, 5 Ewok village sets in the collection. 5. Wow. And I am.
It's a lot of Ewoks.
And as they would go,
that's your favorite set.
She would be so sad because she wanted one, and she.
Yeah,
this isn't anything that I've mentioned before.
No, I know it's your favorite set.
Well, yeah, no, but part of our consignment, like part of our behind the scenes conversations about that was one of those Ewok villages was not put into the inventory and was stored at Bryan's storage unit, and he was like, we're gonna gift this to you.
Bryan was holding it on. Wow.
And I was like, I will buy it from you, but I'm like, and so that the Ewok, it's not. Yeah, awesome. I've owned it multiple times, and I always ended up selling it. And now every time I go and look online at the price, every time I go to Bricklink, the price it continues to go up. And I've had really good luck every time that I've bought it. It's been a shop that's overseas that has done like a little sale, and I've been really lucky. But yeah, so there were 2 Ewok villages in the store that night. One of them was on hold for layaway, and the other one was a certified one. And it's funny that when I did the Aussie Insider live a little while ago, where she went through every single picture,
through picture by picture,
and kind of zoomed in and was able to clarify one of them. One of them was a certified one that I had certified myself. It had come in. The box was open, but all the bags were sealed. And I had written on the certified thing, open box, all the bags are sealed and signed. So there were 2. And I had to clarify with Walker, like, do you remember if the one that you got was actually sealed or was it the certified one? So
which one did he get?
He believes it was the sealed, but again, it's also a year and a half later. So he wasn't entirely certain.
Sorry, I know my reactions must seem strange because I'm also reading the chat. So she'll be saying something very serious, and I'm like, "Yay, Wales is in the house!" It's
so hard not to.
Well, I'll do a little super chat shout out. I feel like I don't want to miss them if they leave. Do you think you are the reason he shaved his mustache, Ben?
It is a safe assumption for me as an author to presume no one has read my books. So I doubt it. I think it's probably everyone else saying, telling jokes about it online. If the
you also don't tell people you write books.
I'm bad about telling people I
so
write
bad
books.
at conventions.
We'll be at conventions.
You're so bad at it.
I'll be like, this author's book, you should buy this author's book from the other folks that we publish. And then she'll have to tell the other people, some of them are his. He writes them. He can sign those, So
really bad about
it feels more comfortable for me to lift up other writers than to go, I write books.
Also, he gets really uncomfortable. One of the best way we once sold out of one of his books. I was talking to one customer, and there were 4 other women in line behind him, and I was talking to one person about one of his books in particular. And we go to comic conventions. Those are my people. Those are my people.
Oh, yeah.
You get neurodivergents and you get nerds, and they're my people.
Yeah.
And I was talking to one of them, and she was like asking about the book, and I was like, "There's lesbian vampires," and she's like, "I'm gonna buy this," and then it was like a chain reaction from the women behind.
It was like it was choreographed.
And it was, did you say lesbian?
Oh wow.
Wait. And then we just
it was like they leaned out like one after the other. Lesbian vampires?
Yeah.
Lesbian vampires? And then bought them all. They literally formed a line and bought the entire. And I was like,
but
I've never sold out that fast before.
Ben can't quite market his own book as lesbian vampires.
Like, what's this book about? And I'll be like, well, it's a deep meditation about death, but also it has baby werewolves who kill people and they're really cute, but also, and she's like lesbian vampires.
I cut to the chase. Listen, lesbian vampires, vampire librarians, dragon sex, baby werewolves.
Yeah.
Cut to the chase. If that sounds like if that sounds like your thing, then don't read this book. Is the trilogy for you?
Yeah.
Like that's. Nice. You got to learn how to sell.
I titled it "Don't Read This Book," thinking that would be, people would be rebellious. No, a lot of people follow directions. So,
I think you recommended that book to.
Yes.
Yeah, Mark Neffy, shout out, Step by Step. Thanks for the super chat, and also I think Mark gifted a membership. Thank you, Mark. Such a good dude.
Cool.
I think Mean Panda become a member. A lot of super chats. I just don't want to miss any of these guys. Thank you, Rose, for the super chat. Updates coming through. We're gonna look at the update for sure. But I think
I took a minute to peek at BAMNAP while I was outside. I did. There's some
new stuff. Okay, I'm excited to check that out. Thank you, Rose.
There's some good stuff.
And then
we got a super sticker from Channel N1K90. That was a while back, but thank everyone for the super chats, Rose. Seriously, awesome. All the work you're doing. The reason I asked about the layaways, I wanted to just show this because, on the CoffeeZilla stuff that we saw, on the CoffeeZilla stuff we saw, like when he kind of makes this sort of like ultimate statement where he's like, oh, there's only about 20,000 missing, especially if you value them higher than 107.
Yeah.
But what we found, it's that, okay, but if all these minifigures aren't accounted for, and if there's all this other stuff that was, handed over back or whatnot that was not accounted for in the side deal, the 107 valuation is pretty low, especially if you think about, that's the mid range and it's probably more pristine. So we're talking a lot close to 200K probably when you think on top of 107, there's 50K in minifigs, another 347 minifigs unaccounted for. And then he ends up saying like the 20,000 in layaway. I think he kind of minus that out of the Lego gap. But it's like, but that's still unaccounted for. Like there were hordes of, according to Josh, the vast majority of the back was layaway. Yeah. He said in a police statement. And so just anything you want to say about that is like, this $220,000 in layaway. It's not just like, this is unaccounted for stuff that disappeared after the Mansell.
Yeah.
And so,
I mean, it sets that aren't accounted for, and it's like part of those should be in the point of sale records, whatever deposit they made on that set, whatever payment they made on that, like that ties back to Walker. He had a customer rewards account. And so I know his first and last name. So it would be really easy to go in and look up his account and look up his purchase history, and it would show every single ticket. And in there, it would say layaway in the set or layaway in the figure.
Yeah.
Corporate can track what he is owed very, very easily.
Yeah, it raises an interesting question too, because if this 20,000 in layaway, it you know, you have to wonder how it was calculated, because I always presumed it was like this was the face value of it, of what the set would have been after it was sold. But is it actually? Yeah. But it could be like the value collected thus far, meaning even more value is missing from that estimate of what those sets would have been worth.
And that I'm not entirely sure. And you know, one thing I've learned after that CoffeeZilla interview was I'm no longer going to agree to numbers if I haven't had the chance to fully review those numbers.
Yeah, and I don't even think you didn't even really agree to it. To be fair, I don't think he really agreed. It was more like you were hearing what he had to say, and then I think the internet just took that at face value.
Trying to process, and there's
I heard in the Lego Law live stream you'd mentioned like you just came home from work, you were looking at a small screen trying to make sense of things, and you got CoffeeZilla there, and he's obviously a very large statue in the in the community. So people are gonna take what he says at face value. I'm not saying anything wrong on him. I think it's like you said, he's not a Lego guy. Yeah. He didn't realize, okay, these minifigures are $50K. Yeah. And the condition is, we shouldn't just take mid-range. But anyway, I might be getting a little bit too in the weeds on this one, because a lot of people have been attacking over this $200,000 number. Yeah. Like when I put out in some of the videos, like the 200,000 Lego collection showed up here or whatnot. A lot of people are like, hey, this wasn't worth that. They even said it was worth 107. They even said in their court filings that it's 125. Yeah. So I just thought it would be worth noting to clarify for people. Yeah. But you guys, like, this is I'm so glad to have you on and stuff. I know like we've been going for a long time. And I don't want to keep you long.
It's been fun. I really enjoyed it. So
no,
thank you for having us. This has been good.
I'm gonna definitely cut it up, make a lot of videos, and hopefully help get some of the info out.
Well, and that's I don't know if we want to tell people. I messed up and thought it was alive and announced it was alive. And that was my misunderstanding. This was supposed to be
it's all good.
This was supposed to be a recorded interview, and we kind of pivoted last minute.
Thank you for being flexible about that.
No, it's all good.
Well, you called it alive. We'll do it live.
No, it's all good. I was thinking it could be a fun live too.
But that is the downside of anything with me, is it does go on a little.
No, it's all good. It's all good. That's why I like the recorded format, because I can cut it all out and because sometimes like I feel like the best way to grow the story and help you guys, and I'm gonna obviously put your GoFundMe in all the chats and all the descriptions and whatnot. But I think like giving people the best, like the too long don't read, it's like there you go. Like that's kind of what I like to do with the videos, is like here's all the stuff you guys want to know about. I know a lot of people are interested in about the true value of the Mansell collection, tracking the manipulation in the media, all the lies, tracking like different things, like the timeline that they came in and took this store less than a week. And the fact that was against this 30-day cool down period in the franchise agreement, the fact that they set up these things for pretext, like, oh, we're not going to give you the bank account. We're not going to give you the lease. They've every step of the way. We're not going to let you into mediation. Oh, until it becomes a viral story and you want to sue us. Okay, let's do mediation. These guys they're going to be taken down. And so I mean, I have 2 words for Eamon, not happy birthday, but that's just that's just for him and his lawyers. Like, those guys. I mean, I'm all for, reading about lesbian vampires. That sounds cool. I got nothing against vampires, but the blood-sucking ones that Eamon has hired to be his attorneys, those guys should be ashamed of themselves. And you guys, I really, I'm rooting for you.
There's some things I'm just not willing to do for money.
They've sold their soul. I think like in the world that that the Don Orlando, it lives in, I believe this sort of essence of this magic. These things exist, in my opinion. Like they're like what they're doing. When we go beyond this like veil that we live in, everything will be, when people can see you for the actions you've done in their entirety, that's when money doesn't matter. That's when all of a sudden your true spirit shows through, And so, I mean, a lot of people can look at you and say whatever they want, but at the end of the day, when they can realize who you are for your actions, and that's all that BAM likes to do. They want to obfuscate behind, we're going to put out all these PR things. We're going to change their story a million times, sandbag people, smear people. But then at the end of the day, when people can see through that, everyone's going to know Eamon for who he truly is. And I hope he does try to change. Like, I hope he does try to make reparations to all the people he's wronged. because I know there's so many people he's ruined, you know, and that you can tell, like, I'm sure, like, you've talked to people like I have, like, when you talk to people, you can tell, like, they carry this like on their soul. Like, this is a very heavy weight on them. It may have happened years ago, it may have happened months ago, and they still carry it with them.
Oh yeah,
and,
for a lot of folks
Eamon's responsible.
It was like the worst thing that had ever happened in their lives. They were absolutely wrecked.
Yeah, and they're still dealing with the financial repercussions of that.
You know, like anything with finance, you know, it compounds in a good way or compounds in a bad way. This has decimated some people.
Yeah, that's why I really hope it goes federal, because you know, then NDAs don't matter. So I'm gonna try to. Hopefully, we'll try to keep pushing the petition to get someone to investigate it. I think more likely the FTC, because we know the government really likes their money. Yeah. So,
or the IRS.
Maybe.
I'm considering even calling up these organizations and be like, "Hey, put me on as a volunteer. Like, I'll you know, deputize me. I'm going in."
But okay.
He's gone. The dogs have decided.
We've reached that time of the night where the dogs have decided it's dinner time.
All right. That's it. Perfect end to it.
The dogs say hello to you all.
Nice.
Goodness gracious.
Awesome.
At a certain point, they're just like,
take care.
And I'll send you that document too.
Excellent. Yes.
All right.
Thank you so much. Sorry, they've it's